Chapter 463, Rob. Xianxia's expression was dark as he sneered at Wang Lin and asked, "How did you see through me?" Looking at Xianxia, Wang Lin said, with a heavy tone, "That isn't the cultivation planet crystal. Also, you have the ability to teleport, so even if you were injured, it wouldn't be as serious as you said it was." Xianxia laughed. There was a hint of appreciation in his eyes as he said, "You are worthy of being one of the 4 people I chose." "That is correct. That isn't the cultivation planet crystal. That is only a shadow. As long as one touches it, they can take their soul piece back." Wang Lin's eyes were calm. He didn't speak but just stared at Xianxia. His grip on the 1 billion soul flag slowly tightened. "This old man won't lie to you. To draw your soul piece back through the shadow requires a heavy price. This is why I asked you to get it for me. If you do it, I'll give you a powerful treasure as a reward. In the deepest part of the immortal graveyard, there is an ancient altar. It is there that my clan's ancestor obtained the power to reach the 12-leaf stage. If you help me bring me back the cultivation planet crystal, I'll bring you there to let your cultivation increase by a level." "How about it?" said Xianxia with a heavy tone. Wang Lin revealed a pondering expression. Xianxia seemed to be a bit anxious as he quickly said, "Wang Lin, quickly go retrieve the cultivation planet crystal. Dante forced me to act. You know I don't want to kill you." Wang Lin took a look at Xianxia and said, "And if you break your promise, give me the true method to use the straw hat as a deposit." Wang Lin still had the straw hat that Xianxia gave him. However, the straw hat contained many restrictions, and they were very complicated, so without the proper method, he couldn't unleash its full power. Xianxia's eyes lit up. From his point of view, there was no way for Wang Lin to escape, so all Wang Lin could do was follow his order. As a result, he took a jade, filled it with information, and threw it at Wang Lin. Wang Lin wasn't in a rush as he looked through the jade. After making sure that it was real, he put it away, surrounded himself with the 1 billion soul flag, and flew toward the tower in the center. In almost the blink of an eye, he arrived next to the first Suzaku. He looked at this once ruler of the planet, paid a special attention to the shadow, and finally turned his gaze to the cultivation planet crystal. He was standing beside the purple light, but strangely enough, there was no shadow of him at all. Xianxia's eyes lit up and he quickly said, "Put your hand on it and call out my name. Don't try anything funny, or I promise I'll kill you." Wang Lin took a deep breath. Then he lowered his head toward Xianxia and said, with a heavy tone, "I once thought of you as my benefactor. Even when I found out that you were part of the Forsaken Immortal clan, I didn't want to oppose you. I just wanted to leave planet Suzaku and search for my own Tao. Senior, you have truly disappointed me today. I don't know if this shadow does what you say it does, but I know that if I do what you told me to, I will immediately die." At the moment Wang Lin said those words, Xianxia's expression changed and he was about to charge out. But Wang Lin shook the 1 billion soul flag and the surroundings were immediately filled with soul fragments. At the same time, Wang Lin quickly backed up and with a roar, all of the soul fragments from the soul flag charged toward the shadow of the first Suzaku. At this moment, a series of crackling sounds came from the chair the first Suzaku was sitting on. And at the same time, a laugh came out from within the shadow and red light started flashing from it like crazy. The shadow immediately shattered, and the old man quickly walked out. The monkey on his shoulder, which was even faster, charged out at Xianxia. Xianxia's expression became gloomy, and he stopped. His hand moved, and one by one, golden tattoos appeared from the void and circled around him. "Little fellow, that seal of yours was pretty good. Using the aura from this dead person along with your own cultivation, you created a shadow seal to seal me. This kind of shadow seal is very rare. It was rare even in ancient times. For you to be able to control it is not easy. If Master S' original body was here, it would be destroyed with just one punch, but this is just a sliver of Master S' divine sense possessing a body, so you were able to trap me for a while. To be able to do this much in your lifetime is already very good. You can brag about it in your next life." The old man's eyes started glowing red. Xianxia let out a snort, and the tattoos around him flew out. His target wasn't the old man but the little monkey. Xianxia shouted, "A mere puppet. As long as I destroy where that divine sense is hidden, then no matter how strong your real body is, you won't be able to get here now." When Wang Lin's divine sense spread out, he noticed the shadow behind Wu Yu. When he found himself next to the purple light and saw no shadow of himself, he felt that it was strange and decided to risk it. If he failed, he would immediately enter the heaven-defying bead to hide. He believed that Xianxia didn't lie about the effect of the cultivation planet crystal's shadow, but the price to extract a soul piece through it was one's life. Otherwise, Xianxia would have already gotten it himself instead of waiting. Even if the third person wasn't Wang Lin, he would still have forced that person to get the soul piece. At the moment the old man came out, Wang Lin shook the soul flag. The soul fragment surrounded him, and he quickly retreated. Whether it was the old man Tuo Sen was controlling or Xianxia, they were not people Wang Lin was willing to mess with right now. He had already confirmed that the cultivation planet crystal wasn't here, so he could only quickly leave. But just at this moment, the palace suddenly shook. This shaking was extremely violent. It was as if the heavens and earth were being shaken. At this moment, cracks began to appear on the tower. Another collapse of the cultivation planet crystal had started. From the bottom of the tower, a crack appeared and moved straight up like a dragon. Finally, the crack reached the top of the tower and arrived at the throne of the first Suzaku. At this moment, with a crisp crackling sound, the throne Yi Wuyu was sitting on suddenly fell off. As for Yi Wuyu's body, with the shaking from the crack, it turned to dust and disappeared. Wang Lin's pupils suddenly shrank. At this moment, not only him, but Xianxia, the old man, and the little monkey all stopped fighting and stared at where Yi Wu had turned to dust. A white crystal the size of half a fist floated up from the dust that was Yi Wuyu's body. When Wang Lin saw the white crystal, he immediately felt a connection to his soul. Cultivation planet crystal! Xianxia took a deep breath and charged out, but the little monkey was even faster as it charged out with the old man. At this moment, Wang Lin wasn't close enough and he couldn't be faster than them, so he clenched his teeth, surrounded himself with the soul flag, and charged toward the nearby hallway. Wang Lin knew that with his current strength, he was no match for Xianxia nor the old man Tuo Sen was possessing. In fact, even if he managed to get it, he wouldn't have time to retrieve his soul piece and would just invite disaster upon himself. With a sigh, Wang Lin quickly flew toward the hallway. The old man was closer. With a flash, he grabbed the crystal and laughed. The Daymaster will be freeze before me. However, just at the moment he grabbed the crystal, his expression suddenly changed, his laughing stopped, and he revealed a look of disbelief. Just when he was about to release the crystal, his body shook, and then started melting into strands of gas, which entered the white crystal. This all happened very quickly. In almost the blink of an eye, the old man was gone. The only thing that remained was a blob of red light that quickly fused with the little monkey. The little monkey let out a laugh. His strength suddenly increased. His power was now the same as Xianxia. See, he possessed the power of a late-stage ascendant cultivator. Although the monkey was very close to the crystal, it hesitated for a bit and didn't reach out. At this moment, Xianxia arrived and reached out, but he immediately let out a painful groan as white gas appeared on his body. He quickly let go of the crystal in fear. Luckily, he didn't touch it directly, or else he wouldn't have been able to escape a horrible fate. This change happened without any warning, causing Xianxia and the little monkey to be stuck in a difficult position. Just at this moment, the white crystal suddenly let out a hum and charged toward Xianxia. Xianxia's expression changed greatly and he dodged it. The cultivation planet crystal charged past Xianxia and toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He saw what happened to the old man, so he started flying even faster toward the hallway. He was surrounded by the soul flag, making his speed much faster than normal. The hallway wasn't straight and had some curves, but the crystal seemed to have a life of its own. It was as if it wouldn't give up until it caught Wang Lin. Xianxia's face turned gloomy, and he quickly chased after it. As for the little monkey, it also chased after the cultivation planet crystal. In the blink of an eye, there was no one left around the tower. Just at this moment, a purple light gathered above the tower and took the shape of the person wearing the mask from outside. He revealed a look of confusion, but his eyes immediately became clear. The cultivation planet crystal is collapsing. This Xianxia sure is bold. As Wang Lin fled, the white crystal chased closely after him. The crystal became faster and faster, and it was closing in. When it was within 30 feet of him, Wang Lin suddenly turned around. His right hand formed a seal and celestial spiritual energy filled his body as he sent out a gust of wind toward the crystal. Mid-month and the hope for likes on the video has slipped by 2 days already? Tears streaming. Is there any hope left? Chapter 464, Suzaku's Inheritance. Wang Lin's goal was to blow it away. This object was simply too strange, so he really didn't want to touch it. But with a flash, the crystal broke through the gust of wind, and in the blink of an eye it got close to Wang Lin. Wang Lin clenched his teeth and reached out to grab the crystal so he could throw it away. However, when he touched it, he found that there were no negative effects. He was startled for a moment, then his eyes lit up and he continued to escape without any hesitation. But just at this moment, a mysterious power from the crystal entered Wang Lin's arm. This energy moved through his body, toward his brain, and exploded with information. Strange symbols appeared one by one in his mind. These symbols flashed and moved like lightning inside his brain. Wang Lin wasn't surprised by this because he had been through this once before. When he absorbed ancient God Tusi's inheritance of knowledge, the same thing happened. As those symbols flashed in his head, various scenes echoed in Wang Lin's mind. The scene showed a man filled with majesty and pride standing on top of a giant star compass. This star compass was completely black and had purple lightning traveling through it. Wherever the star compass went, there would be loud, rumbling sounds. Before this man was a pagoda floating in space, and there were 3 large and clear words on the pagoda. Celestial Seal Pagoda. The man quickly entered this pagoda. Stop! A voice came out from inside the pagoda. This voice was also filled with majesty and would cause anyone's heart to shake. But the middle-aged man's expression remained the same as he bowed and said, Junior is Yi Wu Yu from the country of Suzaku that has just reached rank 6. Junior is here on orders from the Cultivation Alliance to get the Suzaku seal. Wang Lin's body trembled. His entire mind was absorbed by a vortex into this memory. However, in the real world, not only did his feet not stop moving, but something even more strange happened. A ray of red light suddenly appeared under his feet, and a powerful force suddenly came from Wang Lin. However, this force didn't come directly from him, but from the red light under his feet. As the red light flashed, Wang Lin's speed reached an unimaginable level. Moving at this pace, Wang Lin quickly made his way toward the exit of the hallway. Xianxia, who was chasing him, exclaimed out loud. His expression was ugly and he couldn't believe what his eyes were seeing. Suzaku seal! How could this Seng Niu give off the aura of the Suzaku seal? In the scene inside Wang Lin's mind, the man walked into the pagoda. This pagoda seemed like it had many floors. The man only got to the 3rd floor before he stopped. The Suzaku seal is a low-rank technique and an inheritance technique. One has to be the titled cultivator to use it. The voice came from the void, and at the same time a red seal appeared in the air. This seal was very complicated, and for a moment he felt like this seal looked similar to the tattoos on the skulls of the Forsaken Immortal clan members. But after looking at it closely, it was completely different. This feeling was very strange. At this moment, the seal slowly floated toward the man and imprinted on his forehead. Wang Lin suddenly felt pain. This was pain Wang Lin had never experienced before. It was as if something was being carved onto his soul. At this moment, he seemed to have lost himself and become that man. Waves of pain continued entering his body. Wang Lin couldn't stand it anymore and began to roar. His body moved even faster, and the red light was now blinding. The look of disbelief in the eyes of Xianxia, who was chasing Wang Lin, became even stronger. He stared dumbfoundedly at Wang Lin and muttered to himself, This is the Suzaku inheritance. How could it be like this? Without fusing with the cultivation planet heart, how could this kid go through the Suzaku's inheritance? As for the little monkey, it stared at Wang Lin with glowing red eyes and a dark expression. Wang Lin's roar echoed in the hallway. He was moving like lightning when he finally exited the palace and appeared in the sea. He didn't stop and directly charged toward the sea's surface. He was completely surrounded by red light, and the aura of the Suzaku began to spread. His eyes were no longer clear. They were filled with chaos and struggle. Inside his mind, the pain came wave after wave. It had reached the point where he almost could stand it any longer. The veins on his forehead were popped out, and his eyes were bloodshot. The injuries he had suppressed previously suddenly exploded forth, but they were forced down once more by the red light. Inside Wang Lin's mind, a voice filled with majesty suddenly echoed. Are you willing to become the titled Suzaku to protect planet Suzaku until your life ends? This voice was like lightning striking his brain and echoed in his mind. Wang Lin's eyes regained clarity. At this moment, he had a feeling that if he agreed now, he would immediately learn the Suzaku seal. Although he was only at the early stage of soul transformation with the Suzaku seal, he could battle ascendant-level cultivators. Wang Lin replied in his mind, I man not. Wang Lin's goal wasn't to stay here and become the next Suzaku. As soon as he replied, he heard a sigh in his mind. The red light suddenly moved away from his body and gathered on the crystal in his right hand. Along with the red light, the symbols also left Wang Lin like a flood. It was as if they were never there. During this time, Wang Lin quickly shouted in his heart, soul peace. One life for a life, the voice came from the void once more. However, this time a strange symbol appeared in Wang Lin's mind and released a strange light. When he felt this symbol, Wang Lin understood. To take out your soul piece from the cultivation planet crystal, one must trade a life for it. The only other way was to wait for your soul piece to be absorbed by one of those life forms and then fight them for it. However, to find your own soul piece among the endless pool of soul pieces in the Suzaku tomb was something that couldn't be forced. It depended on one's luck. At this moment, Wang Lin's body came out from the sea. Xianxia was following closely behind him, and as for the little monkey possessed by Tuo Sen, it had disappeared without a trace. When Wang Lin charged out from the sea, he had already regained control. He now knew that Na Duo lied. This crystal didn't have anything to do with divine sense, let alone allow it to evolve. At this moment, he didn't have any regrets as he threw the crystal and shouted, that is the cultivation planet crystal. He didn't just throw it at any random person, but at where Liu Mei and Qianfeng were at. The two of them had been waiting. When they saw Wang Lin and company appear, Qianfeng was about to use the treasure Zhuge had given him, but then he saw Wang Lin throw a white light towards them. His eyes lit up and he didn't immediately go to catch it. However, he soon regretted it as he saw Xianxia fly past Wang Lin and charge toward the crystal. Qianfeng clenched his teeth. Without a word, he slapped his bag of holding and took out a bronze doll. There were many black holes on the bronze doll, and each hole was emitting black light. After taking out this treasure, Qianfeng's hand quickly formed a seal. His face suddenly became red and he coughed out a mouthful of blood that landed on the bronze doll. The bronze doll absorbed all the blood. Then it began to emit a red and black light, and then a purple halo appeared over its head. Xianxia suddenly stopped. Then he gloomily stared at that bronze doll. Xianxia said, in a heavy tone, Zhuge. At the moment he said those words, Qianfeng's body suddenly began to tremble and strands of white light came out from his orifices without his control. This light was absorbed by the bronze doll. Qianfeng's eyes were filled with fear. He suddenly raised his right hand, which was holding a piece of jade, and suddenly crushed it. A mysterious power came from within the jade and knocked him away. The strands of white light immediately shattered, and a small portion of them returned to his body. The bronze doll had absorbed a large amount of white light, and then melted into a pool of liquid bronze. However, the bronze seemed to be boiling as strands of red gas came out and took the form of Zhuge. The current Zhuge was no longer as old but filled with more life. Junior apprentice brother, this game has now entered its climax. This old man used Qianfeng's life to take form here so we could have a good reunion. As he spoke, he waved his right hand and the white crystal flew into his hand like lightning. Zhuge suddenly pushed the crystal against his forehead, and it fused with his body. Xianxia's expression was gloomy as he let out a snort and waved his hand. One by one, tattoos appeared, and the aura they gave off was very shocking. Zhuge let out a laugh, then he moved and his body suddenly emitted a large amount of red fog. This fog moved violently and surrounded Xianxia as well as everything within a 5-kilometer radius. Inside the red mist, the shockwave of spells could be felt. The battle between Zhuge and Xianxia started now. However, no one could see the battle clearly because it was covered by the red mist. Zhuge didn't notice that as the red mist was spreading out, the little monkey had entered it and disappeared without a trace. At this moment, outside the red mist, the remaining 5 people were watching. They were Qianfeng, Liu Mei, Zhou Wutai, Zixin, and the last one was Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with killing intent. His hand reached out and the 1 billion soul flag appeared in his hand. He stared at Qianfeng and Lu Mei and slowly said, "Accept your deaths." It's the middle of the month. Wishing Leo's video gets plenty of likes. Remember to like and share Leo's video, okay? And don't forget to leave your thoughts about the video. Chapter 465, Battling Qianfeng. Qianfeng was breathing hard right now. A lot of his life force was taken away by Zhu Kezi earlier, causing him to be very weak. His hatred for Zhu Kezi was monstrous. Fortunately, I didn't use it while I was in a battle like he told me to, or else I would have been sucked dry by him before I'd even killed the enemy. Qianfeng was infuriated, but right now was not the time to be mad at Zhu Kezi. Right now, he needed to focus on how to deal with the killing intent that was currently targeting him. In truth, Zhu Kezi hadn't just started scheming against Qianfeng last minute. If it wasn't for the Forsaken Immortal clan appearing, he might have really found a way to avoid the heavens when his lifespan runs out and continue living by stealing Qianfeng's body. Zhu Kezi had been planning this ever since Qianfeng was a child. The reason he had Qianfeng devour all those domains wasn't for Qianfeng but for himself. The method he used on Qianfeng was in fact a secret spell that the previous Suzakus had been developing. This spell wasn't complete, and only had a 10% chance of succeeding, and even if it did succeed, it would only delay one's death for several decades. At the same time, there was a heavy price to pay for these several decades of life. That copper doll was the key. It was created by the fourth Suzaku with some metal from another planet that was refined countless times. Then the later Suzakus added countless heavenly treasures to it, finally enabling it to use the spell that absorbs life. In truth, the reason this copper doll had this power was due to the change in the cultivation planet crystal, and the previous Suzakus were able to learn this power by studying the crystal. However, this object wasn't complete yet, and it had many flaws. Right now, although Zhu Kezi used it to take form and looked full of life, it was only a temporary appearance. Wang Lin waved the 1 billion soul flag in his hand, and countless soul fragments immediately flew out, covering the heavens. Endless ghostly wails that shook even the heavens came out from the soul fragments. Fuse! Wang Lin's eyes were filled with killing intent, and with just one word, 6 not yet ascendant cultivators who were much stronger than late-stage soul transformation primary souls appeared. The Kalin was one of them. I don't need to make them fuse into an ascendant soul fragment to battle the two of you. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He slapped his bag of holding, and the axe appeared in his hand. He lifted the axe as he jumped into the air and then suddenly swung down. Qianfeng's expression changed greatly. He slapped his bag of holding and the Suzaku all quickly appeared. With one shake, a ray of red lightning shot out toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression turned cold and he swung the axe. A powerful sword energy shot out and at the same time, with a roar, he threw the axe. A sonic boom could be heard as the axe shot out. The red lightning immediately collapsed, and the axe quickly descended. Qianfeng revealed a fierce look. Then he let out a roar. His hand quickly moved, and then they pointed forward. A blinding red light appeared and surrounded his body. The mysterious Suzaku formation had opened. A sound that pierced the high heavens suddenly echoed in the area. Qianfeng's body was forced back several steps, and he coughed out blood. The clothes on his upper body had ripped and turned to dust as a mysterious symbol appeared on his chest. The axe was hit by a powerful force and sent back. Wang Lin charged out and grabbed the axe. The 6 primary souls from the 1 billion soul flag split into 2 groups. 4 of them jumped at Liu Mei, and the remaining 2 charged at Qianfeng. Liu Mei's expression sank as she looked at the soul flag. She clenched her teeth and spat out a ray of white light from her mouth. The white light immediately turned into a white sash embroidered with golden threads in the shape of a symbol. The sash quickly wrapped around Liu Mei and broke free of the 4 primary souls' encirclement. Then she and the sash turned into a ray of light and quickly escaped. Wang Lin shouted, "Chase, kill!" The 4 primary souls, one of which was the Qilin, quickly chased after Liu Mei. Facing the attack of 2 primary souls, Qianfeng was forced back. His expression was very ugly as he took out a red fan, coughed blood on it, and then quickly waved it. A large gust of wind suddenly appeared and charged out. This wind seemed to counter souls, causing the 2 primary souls to pause for a moment. Wang Lin let out a cold snort, slapped his bag of holding, and 4 identical sword sheaths appeared before him. A hint of coldness flashed across Wang Lin's eyes as he pointed forward, and the 4 sheaths quickly charged out like meteors. 4 rays of sword energy shot out from the sword sheaths. They were each 3 inches long and contained heaven-shaking sword intent. Shatter! Wang Lin's eyes became cold as the 4 sword sheaths charged forth filled with sword intent. Xianfeng's expression changed greatly. He threw the fan forward as he backed up and was just about to escape, but the moment the fan approached the sword sheaths, it was torn apart, and the 4 sword sheaths chased closely after Xianfeng. Without the fan obstructing them, the 2 primary souls moved very quickly and caught up to Xianfeng. With one attack, Xianfeng's origin soul shook violently and was almost forced out of his body. Fortunately, during the moment of danger, the strange symbol on his chest lit up, activating the Suzaku formation and saving him from the attack of the 2 primary souls. Xianfeng's expression was ugly. He suddenly turned around and shouted, "Sang Niu, don't force me!" As he roared, he spat out a ray of green light which turned into a piece of green wood. The green wood gave off a strange aura, then it suddenly grew and turned into a 100-foot-long piece of wood. Xianfeng's face was pale as he shouted, "Carve!" The green wood shook and then wood shavings fell off from it. It was as if there was an invisible hand carving the wood. Soon, a figure took form. The figure was that of Wang Lin. "Destroy!" Xianfeng shouted again. Right now his face was ashen, pale without a trace of blood, and his body was shaking. A large amount of his life force had just been taken, so he was obviously not Wang Lin's match at the moment. When Xianfeng shouted destroy, Wang Lin suddenly stopped moving forward and his expression slightly changed. Wang Lin could feel a destructive force coming from the green wood as a green blade formed from it and swung down on his head. The shadow of death surrounded Wang Lin. Xianfeng was, after all, a mid-stage soul transformation cultivator and the current Suzaku's disciple, so how could he be short of treasures? He most likely had many more treasures than Wang Lin. Wang Lin had never heard of this green wood. Its strange power made it very hard to defend against. He wanted to dodge but found a mysterious power locking him in place. Seeing the green blade closing in on Wang Lin, Xianfeng revealed a cruel smile. Wang Lin's eyes were calm. With a thought, a primary soul appeared before Wang Lin and exploded. The explosion of the primary soul created a powerful shockwave that destroyed the force locking him in place, allowing him to dodge the green blade. Xianfeng revealed a look of frustration and turned around to escape without any hesitation. How could Wang Lin let him run? He reached out and the 1 billion soul flag appeared in his hand. With one shake, a large amount of soul fragments flew out once more. Seal! Wang Lin let out a roar and all the soul fragments scattered. Soon the soul fragments formed a barricade of 5 kilometers in radius and trapped Xianfeng. At the same time, Wang Lin swung the axe at the green wood. With one swing of the axe, the green wood was split in half. Xianfeng felt sweetness in his mouth, and then he coughed up another mouthful of blood. Die! Wang Lin shouted. He threw the axe forward. At the same time, the 4 sword sheaths shot out like meteors. 4 rays of destructive sword energy came out from the sword sheaths and shot toward Xianfeng from all 4 directions. But it was still not over. Wang Lin shook the 1 billion soul flag, causing it to disappear in a shower of golden dust and fuse with the surrounding soul fragments. The soul fragments emitted a sealing power as a result of this. At this moment, a powerful restricting aura appeared within the area surrounded by the soul fragments. This aura was so powerful that even teleportation was affected by it. Xianfeng's eyes revealed terror and then he immediately shouted, "Sang Niu, there is no great hatred between us. Why must you try to kill me?" Wang Lin's eyes were like lightning as he stared at Xianfeng and said, "Word for word, I am killing you because I promised Red Butterfly I would." Xianfeng began to laugh like mad and said, "Sang Niu, if you didn't have the 1 billion soul flag, I could easily kill you. Now you've forced me. If I die, I am going to waste your 1 billion soul flag." Wang Lin's eyes became cold and he softly said, "Accept your death." The 4 rays of sword energy came from all directions toward Xianfeng. These 4 rays of light carried powerful auras. It felt as if they were about to shatter the space they were in. Xianfeng's face was fierce as he took a deep breath and activated the Suzaku formation to its peak. A thick red light quickly surrounded his body. At the same time, he slapped his bag of holding and took out an item. It was an iron sword. An iron sword covered in rust that looked like it came from the mortal world. The specks of rust gave off a powerful scent of blood. The rust was clearly a result of the sword being covered in blood. This is something my ancestor, the last Suzaku, left behind in secret. Even the current Suzaku doesn't know of this thing. Saying Niu, I have the Suzaku formation, and since you can break the formation, you can kill me. However, I can kill you with this sword. Mid-month, hoping to get the like button pressed for the video. Chapter 466, Tuo Sen S. Killing Intent. After Qianfeng finished speaking, he swung the sword. A primal aura came out from the sword. This aura felt like it came from a primal spirit. The moment the iron sword appeared, even Zhuge and Yunke, who were fighting in the distance, were stunned. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he stared hard at the iron sword. To be more accurate, he was staring at the rust on the sword. There are several drops of dried blood on that sword that give off a very familiar aura, blood of the ancient god. This is real ancient god blood, far superior to the aura the giant demon clan blood gives off. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he stared at the rust spots. Not right. How could an ancient god be so easily hurt? There is no way that sword is normal. Wang Lin's eyes became serious, and this time he looked toward the sword itself. The moment the iron sword appeared, someone walked out from the sea. No one noticed this person appear. It was as if he was completely invisible. It was the person wearing the mask. His eyes revealed a mysterious light as he stared at the iron sword and muttered to himself, "This is." Qianfeng was forced to use this sword. This sword was his family's greatest secret. It belonged to the previous Suzaku, who somehow found it and secretly hid it in the Qian family. When the previous Suzaku left behind the sword, he said, I can see through this sword with my current cultivation. Future generations, unless it is a disaster that will destroy the family, you must use it. After Qianfeng became Zhuge's disciple, and just before the war with the Forsaken Immortal clan, Qianfeng secretly went to the hiding place of the iron sword and took it. He wanted to kill Wang Lin and didn't trust the treasure Zhuge gave him, so he took out the iron sword. This was his real counter to the 1 billion soul flag. At this moment, a laugh suddenly came from the red mist where Zhuge and Yunke were battling. Shortly after, a shadow shot out toward where Wang Lin and Qianfeng were. In the blink of an eye, the shadow pierced through the soul fragment encirclement, causing all the soul fragments in its way to dissipate with miserable screams. The encirclement was pierced through by this figure, leaving behind a wide opening. When Wang Lin saw this figure, his expression changed, and he backed up. However, just at this moment, waves of creepy laughter came from the figure, and a red figure came out from within it. The moment he appeared, he casually waved his hand at Wang Lin. Wang Lin coughed out a large mouthful of blood, and his body shot out like a meteor. His body didn't stop until he was 10,000 feet away, where he coughed out another mouthful of blood. This time there were even small pieces of his internal organs in the blood. The red figure turned into a man with red hair and a half-transparent body, and inside his body was a small monkey. Rays of red light were coming out from the little monkey to form this figure. Wang Lin's heart felt bitter as he said, "Tuo Sen." The figure moved once more and arrived next to Qianfeng. He reached out to throw Qianfeng aside, causing the Suzaku formation to activate on its own to stop him. However, when the figure reached out, a series of crackling sounds came from the Suzaku formation, and with one hit, it shattered. Qianfeng's face suddenly turned extremely pale. The shattering of the Suzaku formation gave him a serious injury on top of his current injuries. After throwing Qianfeng aside, the figure grabbed the iron sword. After taking a careful look, he began to laugh like crazy and said, "It turns out to be this. The blood on this sword is from a 9-star member of my clan. Good! With this and the cultivation planet crystal, I am 100% confident I can escape." Wang Lin took a deep breath and reached out with his right hand. The 1 billion soul flag appeared in his hand, and then, after one shake, all the surrounding soul fragments gathered toward the flag. The axe and sword sheaths also flew toward him under his command. The figure looked at Wang Lin, revealed creepy smile, and said, "Little brat, Wait until I obtain the cultivation planet crystal and then I'll come and deal with you. With that, he wiped his hand over the sword. The rust on the sword began to move as if it were alive, and finally formed one drop of dark red blood. The figure revealed a look of joy and swallowed the drop of blood. Then, while holding the sword, he disappeared. When he reappeared, he was inside the red fog where Xianxia and Yunke were fighting. Xianxia's surprised exclamation and Yunke's angry roar came from the red mist, followed by the sounds of spells. Qianfeng was seriously injured after being thrown away, but he managed to stabilize his body and was just about to escape. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He waved the soul flag in his hand and was surrounded by it as he charged toward Xianfeng. Wang Lin thought, I need to use Qianfeng's life to trade for my soul piece and then leave the Suzaku tomb at top speed. Wang Lin's speed reached its limit as he rushed at Qianfeng. Qianfeng was caught by the countless soul fragments and taken away by Wang Lin. Wang Lin's body appeared before Qianfeng and pointed between Qianfeng's eyebrows. Qianfeng's face was pale and his eyes revealed a hint of madness. His Suzaku formation was destroyed, his iron sword was taken, his treasure was broken, and his life force was stolen. He was also seriously injured, making him extremely weak. Now that he had been caught by Wang Lin, he was going to die without a grave. Even if I die, I'll have you die with me. Qianfeng's eyes were filled with madness. He was prepared to explode. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he softly said, Soul piece. The purple symbol that was left in his mind immediately began to shine and appeared between him and Qianfeng. To exact your soul piece from the cultivation planet crystal, you must trade a life for it. At this moment, just as Qianfeng was about to explode, he let out a miserable scream and his eyes dimmed. The purple symbol gave off a demonic light and 2 soul pieces appeared on it. Of the 2 soul pieces, one belonged to Wang Lin and the other to Qianfeng. Qianfeng's soul piece slowly shattered and then Wang Lin's soul piece slowly dissipated into specks of light that slowly entered Wang Lin's forehead. Wang Lin's body started trembling. He could feel that there was something extra in his body, and he was filled with the sense of being whole. On the contrary, Qianfeng, whose eyes dimmed until there was no light, died before he could explode. 4 rays of light shot out from his forehead and disappeared. The 4 rays of light were the 4 elemental spirits Qianfeng devoured from Red Butterfly. Wang Lin's eyes became cold. He waved his hand and grabbed one of the elemental spirits while the other 3 disappeared. As for Qianfeng's body, it fell from the sky and into the ocean. Qianfeng's bag of holding flew up and was caught by Wang Lin. Zhuo Wutai and Zixin watched all of this from a distance. They looked at each other, and then Zhuo Wutai let out a secret sigh. In the end, he still wasn't able to tell what he wanted to tell Wang Lin in time. The hatred in Zixin's eyes disappeared. She looked at Qianfeng's sinking body and began to laugh. The hatred in this laugh was extremely monstrous. Zixin's eyes became cold. Then she quickly sat down and her hand formed a mysterious seal. At the same time, flashes of light came from between her eyebrows and several puppet cultivators appeared to protect her. Cultivation furnace in the end, whose cultivation furnace Wang Lin, in the end, you still weren't able to see through it. You killing Qianfeng granted Zixin's wish. Unfortunately, even I don't know what kind of spell Yunke used. This kind of spell is unheard of. It is simply too strange, even with a sliver of the green dragon's inheritance that has awakened in my mind. I have no memory of this spell. Zhuo Wutai revealed a complex expression as he looked at Zixin. Zixin was currently emitting a rainbow-colored light, and a powerful aura filled her body. This aura was very similar to Qianfeng's. Wang Lin was wrapped by the soul flag and was about to charge out of this golden sea. But just at this moment, a heaven-shaking sound came from the red mist that Yunke released. A second later, Yunke's figure was thrown out of the mist. Blood came out of his mouth, his eyes were blurry, and when he landed, he almost fell down. At the same time, Yunke was also thrown out. His expression was ugly. The vitality he had before disappeared. He was now covered in a deathly aura, and blood was coming out of his mouth. A mad laugh came from within the red mist. Shortly after, the red mist disappeared, revealing Tuo Sen's red figure holding the white crystal. His eyes were releasing a red glow. Once I am free, I'll definitely let you two experience my real strength. While Tuo Sen laughed, his body turned into a ray of lightning and charged toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin, now it is your turn. Tuo Sen's voice was filled with coldness, and when it entered Wang Lin's ears, it startled him. Wang Lin was still wrapped by the soul flag and quickly flying away. However, Tuo Sen's speed was even faster. In almost a blink of an eye, he caught up to Wang Lin. His gloomy voice entered Wang Lin's ears. You can escape, Wang Lin. I have waited for a very long time to devour your inheritance of intelligence. Wang Lin's face was gloomy. He waved his hand and the axe appeared in his grasp. He suddenly turned around, focused all the celestial spiritual energy in his body on the axe, and viciously swung down. A ray of axe energy several hundred feet wide and filled with celestial spiritual energy shot out. This ray of axe energy felt like it could split the heavens. However, Tuo Sen's figure's eyes started glowing red. Then he raised his hand and gently pointed at the ray of axe energy, causing it to collapse. Wang Lin quickly backed up. His face was completely pale, and he put away the axe. Then he took out the soul flag, shook it, and said, "Phew." With one word, all of the soul fragments besides the ones chasing after Liu Mei began to fuse like crazy. The fusion speed was so fast that it was completed in almost an instant. Welcome everyone to watch. Fans of the narrative chapter express their wishes for praise in the latest installment. May the new chapter receive even more acclaim. Chapter 467, Cultivation Alliance Messenger. In an instant, all of the soul fragments and primary souls fused into one. A soul fragment surrounded by a golden purple glow suddenly appeared. The aura the soul fragment gave off was the same as an early-stage ascendant cultivator's. After it appeared, with a wave of its hand, its body turned from transparent to solid. After creating the ascendant soul, Wang Lin retreated without any hesitation. He knew that this ascendant soul fragment couldn't win. Wang Lin was very clear about this point. Oh? You do have some skills. No wonder you were able to steal the inheritance of memory when you were only at the core formation stage. However, if it was before I got that drop of blood, this could have stalled me for a bit. But now that I have it, it can stop me for even half a step. Tuo Sen's red hair moved without any wind and his dominating aura spread out from his body. Tuo Sen began to laugh like crazy as he moved forward, raised his fist, and threw a punch. This punch looked normal, but both Zhukezhi and Yunkezhi's expressions were very ugly. The two of them were heavily injured by that one punch and forcibly knocked away. The ascendant soul fragment waved its hand and a purple lance quickly appeared in its grasp. It shook the lance before throwing it, and then it grabbed Wang Lin and disappeared. This was Wang Lin's real objective. The fused ascendant soul's purpose was not to fight, but to help him escape. The lance pierced through the sky and collided with Tuo Sen's fist. A loud rumbling sound could be heard as the lance shattered. Cracks quickly spread all over the lance, causing it to shatter. Tuo Sen's body didn't move as he looked at where Wang Lin disappeared. He revealed a cruel smile as his right hand reached out and he shouted, "Come back!" A giant vortex suddenly appeared in the sky and began to spin slowly. A suction force beyond imagination came from inside it. While Wang Lin was running away, his body suddenly stopped and was pulled back at an unimaginable speed. In almost the blink of an eye, he was pulled back to within 1,000 feet of Tuo Sen. I said you can run away. Tuo Sen only took one step to cross 1,000 feet and threw out a punch. Wang Lin's expression was ugly and a feeling of death filled with heart. This feeling was very strong as he made a decision in his heart. With one thought, the ascendant soul fragment suddenly turned around and waved its hands. Both of its hands moved, and then a mysterious symbol suddenly appeared. The symbol gave off an amazing aura. The ascendant soul fragment turned into a ray of light and merged with the symbol. Start creating now. At this moment, this symbol was as black as ink. Break! An ancient voice came from the ascendant soul fragment. A shattering spell. All of the soul fragments will explode and thus create an unimaginable amount of force. A destructive aura came from the symbol. The aura wasn't strong, but for the first time, Tuo Sen's expression changed. He immediately withdrew his fist and was about to retreat. However, it was too late. The countless soul fragments and the primary souls all exploded. This explosion was even more powerful than when a fused ascendant soul fragment exploded. The black symbol moved like lightning and shattered several feet in front of Tuo Sen. A black ripple suddenly appeared. And it seemed to have intelligence. It didn't spread out randomly but charged toward Tuo Sen. A heaven-shattering sound that shook the entire Suzaku tomb appeared. At this moment, not just the ones inside the Suzaku tomb but everyone on the planet could feel this aura that could destroy the heavens. With a boom, Tuo Sen's figure was thrown back like a meteor. 1,000 feet away, Tuo Sen's figure was collapsing. The eyes of the little monkey inside his body dimmed, then it closed its eyes and died. However, the red light that formed Tuo Sen's body reformed after dissipating. Although it looked like it would shatter with just a gentle breeze, it still gave off the terrifying aura of a powerful expert. I didn't think that you would have this kind of treasure. Wang Lin, I underestimated you. Tuo Sen's voice came from that figure and was very cold. Aside from the 4 primary souls chasing Liu Mei, all the other soul fragments in the 1 billion soul flag had exploded to create this terrifying explosion. However, even with that, it still wasn't able to completely wipe out this sliver of divine sense from Tuo Sen. He was simply too powerful. Wang Lin felt very bitter in his heart as he let out a sigh and touched his forehead. He wasn't sure if he could hide from Tuo Sen and the heaven-defying bead. He was unsure of what to do. I want to see where you can run to this time. Tuo Sen's body slowly solidified. Then he took a step forward. But just at this moment, a ray of light flew out from the sea. Its speed was simply too fast, and in the blink of an eye it arrived 10 feet from Tuo Sen. The light disappeared, revealing the man wearing the mask. He raised his hand and pointed at Tuo Sen. His eyes revealed a mysterious light as he said, "Seal!" Tuo Sen's expression changed as he stared at this person, then he retreated once more. The masked man's eyes lit up as 5 rays of light shot out from his fingers. The 5 rays of light turned into 5 chains that flailed about. In the blink of an eye, the 5 chains turned into 5 seals. The seals stacked on top of each other and chased after Tuo Sen. I couldn't seal you before, but now that you've been injured by an ascendant cultivator's self-explosion, I can seal you? As the overlapped seals closed in on Tuo Sen, his expression changed. Continuing to retreat, he shouted, "Who are you?" The masked man didn't say a word as his eyes released a mysterious light. The seal flashed and suddenly disappeared but soon reappeared behind Tuo Sen and landed on him at a very fast speed. Tuo Sen suddenly raised his hand and a red mist came out from his mouth. His body slowly dissipated until it was completely gone. But the red mist didn't disappear. It twisted and churned. Tuo Sen's face appeared in the red mist and said, "I don't care who you are, but when I break free, I'll kill you." The red mist churned a bit before turning to red crystals and raining down on the surroundings like red rain. The masked man reached out with his right hand and white specks of light appeared among the red mist. The white light condensed into a white crystal and landed in his hand. At the same time, the iron sword that Qian Feng took out also appeared. He looked at the iron sword and then put it away. Wang Lin's heart trembled as he stared at the masked man. At this moment, not only Wang Lin's, but the gazes of everyone present were gathered on this person. Xianxia's eyes were filled with terror. He immediately recognized that this person was a cultivator, whose cultivation he couldn't see through. It has to be said that he could see through cultivators up to the late stage of Ascendant. If he couldn't see through someone, then this person had to be beyond the Ascendant stage. Thinking about this, Xianxia's heart trembled violently. Discover now. Xianxia's eyes became serious as he stared at this person and at the white crystal in this person's hand. Thinking about how this person had extracted the crystal from the void, Xianxia's body trembled. He revealed a look of disbelief and bursted out, You are." The masked man let out a sigh. He calmly looked at Xianxia and said, "Xianxia, do you understand that what you did was wrong?" Xianxia looked at this person and muttered to himself, "Yi Wu. He is not the first Suzaku. Don't he just guess randomly?" Xianxia quickly cut Xianxia off. He looked at the masked man and respectfully said, "Junior greets the Alliance's messenger." Regarding this matter, Junior understands what he did wrong. Alliance messenger, the Cultivation Alliance's messenger. Xianxia sucked in a breath of cold air. Zhukazi, your lifespan has reached its limit, so you should be dead. There's no need to force yourself to stay. Attempting to shatter the cultivation planet crystal is considered a great crime in the Cultivation Alliance. Looking at the fact that you had your reasons, I won't pursue this matter for now, but you should leave this world right now. Zhukazi's face was filled with bitterness as he silently nodded. His eyes lit up and he said, I can leave, but the Forsaken Immortal Clan. The masked man said, I will deal with it. Zhukazi took a deep breath, sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes. He still had a bitter smile on his face as he died. His lifespan was already almost up, but then he stole Qianfeng's lifespan to last longer. Now that he had met the Cultivation Alliance messenger, he had to give it all up. At the moment of his death, he remembered something from a record left behind by the first Suzaku, Yi Wu Yu. It said that there was always a Cultivation Alliance messenger on planet Suzaku. The messenger changed every generation and they were very well hidden. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he slowly backed up. Just at this moment, the masked man turned around toward Wang Lin and smiled. Brother Daniu, do you not remember me? Wang Lin was startled. He stared at this person for a bit, and shortly after, his eyes lit up. The masked man placed his hand on the mask and slowly took it off, revealing his true face. Wang Lin's eyes became serious. It's you! We haven't met in many years, but Brother Daniu is still as graceful as before. However, there is still one thing I don't understand. Why did you refuse to become the next Suzaku? Discover now. On planet Suzaku, at the Sea of Devils, in the land of the ancient god, on the pillar at the middle of the Blood Sea, Tuo-sen suddenly raised his head. He was filled with unwillingness. However, that soon disappeared and was replaced with intense red light. You can break my sliver of divine sense, but you can stop me from escaping. Beside him, a drop of dark red blood slowly appeared. Tuo-sen stared at the drop of red blood and revealed a dark expression. With this, it won't be long before I can walk out of here. Wang Lin, I'll spare you this time, but you definitely won't be able to escape next time. Today marks the first watch, longing for the like button for the VIDEO. The VIDEO wants to charge up the trending charts, hoping the veteran supporters lend their firepower. Chapter 46, Strange Old Man. Wang Lin put away the stink bomb and looked at Li Shan. He said, Brother Li Shan, I won't bother you anymore, so please continue selling. Li Shan nodded. He revealed a friendly expression and said, Brother, you must be careful with those stink bombs. Remember, they don't always work because they require a certain throwing technique. If you don't succeed, don't say I lied to you. With that, he continued to tout to the other people. Fellow brothers, I still have another treasure. This is a keepsake from the He Huan sect. With this, you can go to the He Huan sect to get a beautiful girl. This is something I got through a lot of painstaking effort, but I'll sell it based on our friendship. Fellow brothers of the Heng Yue sect, you mustn't miss out on this chance. Wang Lin chuckled. He turned around and headed back to the herb garden. Not long after, he had arrived at the garden. He scanned the garden and found that Sundaju was not there, so he sat down cross-legged in his room and took out the 3 stink bombs to examine them. After a long time, Wang Lin revealed an interested expression. These stink bombs appeared transparent under his divine sense, as if there were no secrets they could hide. To say it plainly, there was a trace of Li Shan's divine sense in the stink bombs that allowed him to detonate them at will. Wang Lin never knew that divine sense could be used like this. After carefully mimicking it, he overlapped the divine sense in the stink bombs with his. He didn't destroy Li Shan's divine sense, but surrounded it. If he wished to, he could destroy it at any time. The use of divine sense on this stink bomb inspired Wang Lin. He pondered a little and took out the mysterious bead. If divine sense can be used like this, can it be used the same way on the bead? Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his divine sense quickly gathered on the mysterious bead. After a long time, Wang Lin frowned. The stone bead looked like it hadn't changed, and under his divine sense, it looked the same as always as well. He pondered for a moment, then he took the stone bead and left the herb garden. At the fastest speed, he went to a secluded place in the mountains and entered the dream space. The moment he entered, he knew that time was of the essence, and he quickly spread out his divine sense. 1 minute, 3 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. There was no change. Wang Lin rubbed his chin and muttered, Can I really not leave my divine sense inside the mysterious bead? At that moment, one of the glowing objects suddenly began to shine brightly, then finally dimmed. Wang Lin was stunned. Then, like a chain reaction, other glowing objects started to dim. Soon, all of the glowing objects in the dream space dimmed, until there was no light remaining, and the dream space became completely dark. Wang Lin was shocked. He carefully observed for a long time and couldn't find anything unusual. An old voice suddenly appeared. I don't need to observe anymore. With your spiritual movement stage, trying to see through the heaven-defying bead is just wishful thinking. Wang Lin was startled and his pupils shrank. He had been in the dream space for dozens of years, and this was the first time he had heard someone else speak. Wang Lin took a deep breath. He suppressed the shock in his heart. He clasped his hands and respectfully said, Junior's name is Wang Lin, and Senior is? Wang Lin was a smart man. He didn't think that the person had suddenly appeared, but had been there all along and had observed him for the 30 years he had been in here. As a junior of this small country, you don't have the need to know this old man's name. You used nearly 30 years of time with my help and the help of the stone bead, and only reached the spiritual movement stage. That is truly disappointing, especially your perception. You only now thought of using your divine sense to scan the bead. Wang Lin pondered for a while. He had observed the stone bead with his divine sense before, but just hadn't observed for as long as now. Your way of doing things really annoys me. Cultivating is a heaven-defying act. If anyone goes against you, you should kill them. I have observed you in these few years that you've been at this dogshit sect. If I were you, I would have killed all of them already. If anyone dared to insult me, I would destroy them completely, especially that Wang Zhuo. He really gets on my nerves. With my temper, I would have taken his soul and thrown it into purgatory and then wiped out his family. I really like that Zhang Hu in your sect. Quite vicious. Also, that Junior Liu really suits this old man's tastes. Wang Lin's expression became odd. He wryly smiled. Senior, don't interrupt me. I haven't finished speaking. Your small sect also has quite a few good-looking ladies. You really don't know how to enjoy yourself. If it were me, I would have caught them and refined them for their soul. Hey, the taste really makes me reminisce about the past. I haven't tasted it in over 30 years. Wang Lin was dumbfounded and couldn't speak for a long time. Brat, can you work a bit harder? Hurry up and reach the soul transformation stage so this old man can come out. Sigh. Wang Lin hesitated. He was somewhat confused and asked, Senior, what is soul transformation stage? Also, what did you mean when you said I was at the spiritual movement stage? Can't you think for yourself? Always asking about everything? Forget it. For a little cultivator from only a rank cultivation country, even if you think until your head explodes, you won't figure it out. Listen well, brat, I am talking about the cultivation realm of a rank cultivation country. In a rank 3 cultivation country like yours, there are only 4 realms: QI condensation, foundation establishment, core formation, and nascent soul. As for the spirit forming stage, it would be a thing of legends in your eyes. Once someone reaches the spirit forming stage, then your country's rank will be increased to a rank 4 cultivation country. With that, the country will be provided the appropriate resources from the Cultivation Alliance, and the country will also gain the right to fight for cultivation stars outside the country. The country would also need to undertake missions to protect the Alliance. Similarly, if a soul transformation appears in a rank country, it would be raised to a rank country and so on. As for the spiritual movement stage, it is a stage commonly used in rank country or higher. It is similar to the QI condensation stage, but has a broader range. For now, just the first watch today. Leo will rest tonight and start catching up on the missed chapters tomorrow. Chapter Suzaku Tomb. Wang Lin's pupils shrank and he calmly said, Moji! It is I. Brother Daniu, you still haven't answered my question. The man took off his mask. HR was indeed the person who Wang Lin met in the temple on that rainy night with whom he talked about life and death. Wang Lin calmly said, My future is not on planet Suzaku. Wang Lin understood now why the white crystal flew toward him. It probably had a lot to do with this person. Moji looked at Wang Lin, shook his head, and sighed, unfortunate, since Brother Daniu doesn't want to. Then I won't press this matter. His eyes were suddenly filled with confusion and didn't recover for a while. This time his gaze fell on Xianxia. Forsaken Immortal Clan, 1/3 of planet Suzaku can be given to you, but every 1,000 years, you must hand over the skull of a 9-leaf or higher clan member. Yunke, do you agree? Yunke's heart felt bitter. He knew that he had no right to refuse right now. This person represented the Cultivation Alliance. The Forsaken, immoral clan stood no chance at all. He heavily nodded. Yunke seemed to suddenly become old, and his eyes became dim. Just at this moment, waves began to form on the sea below them, and the collapse of the Suzaku tomb started again. While the sea raged, Moji raised his hand, and the white crystal in his hand suddenly began to shine brightly. This light suddenly covered the sea and began to spread across the Suzaku tomb. The light spread like tens of thousands of horses galloping over the sea and soon covered the entire Suzaku tomb. Moji softly said, "Close!" With one word, the collapse suddenly stopped, the collapsed earth quickly reformed, and all of the rifts quickly closed. After 10 breaths of time, the entire Suzaku tomb had recovered. Moji looked at the white crystal in his hand one last time, and then threw it into the sea. The white crystal quickly sank into the sea and disappeared. Then he pointed at Yukezi's corpse, and a heart-shaped crystal flew out from between his eyebrows. There were many deep cracks on the crystal. It looked like it could break at any time. But at this moment, the cracks began to mysteriously close, and in 3 breaths of time, there were no cracks left on the crystal. The next Suzaku. His gaze moved past Wang Lin and onto Zhou Wutai, where it paused for a moment. Zhou Wutai's heart started beating faster. He was very excited and his body trembled slightly. Green Dragon Bloodline, you are a qualified candidate, but unfortunately, your cultivation hasn't reached the soul transformation stage. Moji's gaze moved from Zhou Wutai and onto Zijin, who was cultivating next to Zhou Wutai. Cultivation furnace, through luck, she was able to reverse the situation. That is also rare. Moji's eyes lit up like he had made a decision. Zhou Wutai let out a bitter smile and secretly sighed. He knew that his cultivation level wasn't high enough, and that he had no hope of getting the title of Suzaku. Cultivation furnace, there is something strange about her. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He had some issues with Zixin before, so they were more like enemies than friends. He noticed a change in her body. There was something between Zixin and Qianfeng. Although he didn't know exactly what happened between them, Zixin was once Qianfeng's cultivation furnace. Him killing Qianfeng somehow granted this girl her wish, which was something Wang Lin wasn't able to see through at all. He had been cultivating for a long time, but he had never heard of a spell that could allow the cultivation furnace to steal from her master instead. This spell was very mysterious and strange, but the most mysterious and strange spells had their own deadly flaws. Wang Lin then looked at Yunke. He was confident that this matter was definitely related to Yunke. Wang Lin pondered a bit and said, "Lord Messenger." Moji looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin said, "Although he hasn't reached the soul transformation stage yet, that doesn't mean he never will." Right after he said that, Zixin, who was cultivating with her eyes closed, suddenly opened her eyes. Her cold gaze locked on to Wang Lin. Wang Lin could clearly feel a thick aura that belonged to Qianfeng on her. Zixin coldly said, "Wang Lin, what do you mean?" Wang Lin looked at the girl with calm eyes and said, "Junior, when I started cultivating, you weren't even born yet. The smell of your mother's milk hasn't even dried." "Shut up!" Zijin's eyes lit up. Then she suddenly stood up and the aura of a mid-stage soul transformation cultivator spread out. She stared at Wang Lin and said, "Wang Lin, back then you sent me into the spatial rift and I almost died. I have already remembered this in my heart. Before, your cultivation level was higher, but now your 1 billion soul flag is gone, and your cultivation level is only at the early stage of soul transformation. If I wanted to kill you, it would be as easy as waving my hand." Wang Lin coldly looked at Zixin, revealing a hint of mockery, and calmly said, "And if I agreed to become the next Suzaku?" The moment he said that, Zixin was startled. She struggled in her heart. In the end, she lowered her head and longer spoke. If Wang Lin really became the next Suzaku and used the Suzaku seal to attack her, she would have no way of resisting. At this moment, she bitterly found out that she was still afraid of Wang Lin. Even though she had Qianfeng's cultivation, this feeling was still there. Moji looked at Wang Lin and smiled. "Brother Danu, do you want to become the next Suzaku?" Wang Lin calmly said, Lord Messenger, even if I become the next Suzaku, I would only pass it to him. Wang Lin pointed at Zhou Wutai. Zhou Wutai was speechless. His body trembled and his gaze toward Wang Lin was filled with gratitude. Moji faintly smiled. In his view, this title of Suzaku was simply too insignificant. No matter who he gave it to, it wouldn't matter to him at all. On the contrary, it was Wang Lin who interested him. After pondering for a bit, Moji pointed at Zhou Wutai. The heart-shaped crystal flew out and rushed toward Zhou Wutai. Zhou Wutai's body trembled violently as the crystal heart slowly sank into his body between his eyebrows. Stay here for 1 year and comprehend the Suzaku seal. From now on, you are the 15th Suzaku. However, I didn't break the seal on the cultivation planet crystal. Let's leave it like that. As Moji said that, he waved his sleeves and Yunke and Zixin disappeared. At the same time, Zhou Wutai's body slowly sank into the sea and disappeared. At this moment, only Moji and Wang Lin were left. Wang Lin pondered a bit before clasping his hands and saying, Many thanks. Moji laughed and said, Brother Daniu, maybe in the future I'll have things that require your help. At that time, Daunti refused me. I must leave planet Suzaku and report back to the Cultivation Alliance. If there is a chance in the future, we will meet again. Now, let us leave together. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He shook his head and said, Lord Messenger, I still have some matters to deal with inside the Suzaku tomb. Moji revealed a smile that was not a smile and nodded. He moved his hand and a red symbol appeared. Remember this symbol. When you want to leave, use your celestial spiritual energy to form this seal and you can leave. Moji took one last thoughtful look at Wang Lin before turning around, taking one step, and disappearing without a trace. At this moment, Wang Lin was the only one around. I have obtained both mine and one heir's soul pieces. The next Suzaku is Zhou Wutai, and he is a grateful person. I have helped him, so even if I'm not around, he will look out for the people I know, and thus, I can also allow my mind to be at ease. This was the reason why he wanted Zhou Wutai to become the next Suzaku. It was so there wouldn't be anything for him to worry about in the future. Wang Lin pondered a bit before flying into the distance. He didn't fly far before he saw 3 rays of black light flying toward him from the distance. The 3 rays of light turned into the 3 primary souls before Wang Lin, one being the Kuilin. Wang Lin's eyes became cold as he took out the soul flag, waved it, and all 3 primary souls went into the flag. This Liu Mei sure has some skill. She was being chased by 4 primary souls, and was able to destroy one of them. She has already left the Suzaku tomb. Once I leave here, I must kill her. Even now, I still don't have any great feud with this woman. But again and again, she acted against me. She even worked together with Qianfeng to kill me. I can let her live. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he made up his mind. That one dream with Liu Mei couldn't affect Wang Lin's decision one bit. It was just as Liu Mei had said. Aside from Li Muan, Wang Lin was ruthless even toward women. The loss on this trip to the Suzaku tomb was too great. Only 3 primary souls remained, and all of the soul fragments were destroyed. The power of the flag had greatly weakened, but with enough souls, it can be repaired to full power. Unfortunately, wandering souls can be used, or else fixing it would be a lot easier. The cultivation planet crystal is such an important item that using it to evolve the G realm must be a lie. Right now, the most important thing is to find Shu Liguo. I must obtain that half-moon blade. After Wang Lin released Shu Liguo, he had been keeping tabs on him. Now he locked onto Shu Liguo, took one step, turned into green smoke, and rushed over. The matter of the Suzaku tomb ends here. As for the forsaken immoral clan, after Yunke came out from the Suzaku tomb, they all retreated to the northwest and settled on a continent there. They wouldn't casually interact with cultivators. Many cultivators died during the war on planet Suzaku, leaving many sects extremely weak, and thus the sects began to mass recruit disciples. Many people who weren't all that qualified to cultivate were taken in by sects. There were also some very talented people that were dragged out of their homes by some sects. They were treated as treasures, and vigilant teachers personally taught them to prepare them to become the cores of their sects. On planet Suzaku, there was only one early-stage ascendant cultivator left. He was the earth-shattering sect's ancestor who spent all his days in closed-door cultivation and didn't he care about the world. Although he was unhappy that Zhou Wutai was appointed by the Cultivation Alliance messenger, he could only accept it. 1 year later, Zhou Wutai walked out from the Suzaku tomb. Although his cultivation was only at the peak of the late stage of soul formation, with the Suzaku seal, he could threaten soul transformation cultivators. He became the person with the lowest cultivation level to become a titled cultivator. He knew that his cultivation level was too low, so after he appeared, he quickly went into closed-door cultivation on Mount Suzaku. The entire planet of Suzaku showed signs of the long-lost peace it once had. Not paying attention, this chapter quickly racks up 5,000 words. Does that qualify as a major chapter? Could it be wishing for the like button for the video? Chapter 469, 1 year. Far away from planet Suzaku, Lu Mei was flying in the void with a golden-purple light under her feet. Her expression was very ugly. Wang Lin Lu Mei bit her lower lip hard as she moved through space like a bolt of lightning. If it wasn't for the fact that Master secretly gave me the fourth soul, I would have had no chance of survival against those 4 primary souls. A flash of golden-purple light appeared on Lu Mei's forehead. The image of a thin needle kept flashing. When we meet again, I won't be in such a sorry state. Wang Lin. You definitely won't be able to recognize me after the 1,000 illusion ruthless domain becomes the 10,000 illusion demon domain. Lu Mei's eyes became cold, and her figure disappeared among the stars. Liu Mei wasn't the only one who left planet Suzaku. Right now there was another girl quickly moving through space. This girl was wearing a purple veil and her eyes were calm. She was Zi Xin. Planet Suzaku, country of Chu, Cloud Sky sect. Right now there was one person sitting inside the villa that Li Muwan had lived in for a long time. This person was wearing a white robe and his black hair was casually scattered behind him. Although he looked normal, he gave off a mysterious aura that made it hard for people to forget about him. His eyes were calm and clear like a child's, but they also looked very profound, making it easy for people to lose themselves within them. At this moment, his expression was calm as he sat there and looked outside the window. On the open space outside lay a tiger lazily basking in the sun. It would occasionally open its eyes, let out a low growl, flip around, and lets its stomach bask in the sun too. Under the shade near the tiger was a woman sitting in the lotus position. This woman had a very pure appearance. Her naivety made her even more charming. She sat there as if she was cultivating. 2 strands of white gas were coming out from her nose and floating above her head. The man inside the villa was none other than Wang Lin. 1 year ago he left the Suzaku tomb and came back to Chu. Right after he returned, he immediately went into closed-door cultivation for a year. In 1 year of time, Wang Lin healed all the injuries he got in the Suzaku tomb, and his cultivation level went up by a bit. Although he hadn't reached the mid-stage of soul transformation yet, his cultivation at the early stage of soul transformation was even more stable. 7 days ago, Suzaku Zhou Wutai invited him to his appointment ceremony, but Wang Lin rejected it. Zhou Wutai understood that Wang Lin would not stay, so he didn't force the subject. He promised that as long as he, Zhou Wutai, breathes, then Wang Lin's friends will live in peace. Wang Lin looked outside the window before withdrawing his gaze. He slapped the bag of holding, and the celestial sword flew out and floated before him. The moment the celestial sword appeared, a half-moon blade flew out of the bag by itself. The blade circled the celestial sword as if it were very happy. Master number 4 has already been tamed by me to be very obedient. Number 4, come and greet Master. Shu Liguo's voice came from the celestial sword, then black smoke floated out of the sword and took his form. He looked very proud. The half-moon blade shook, and then a dark blue smoke came out from the blade and turned into the shape of a boy. The boy's figure was not distinct. After it appeared, it bowed toward Wang Lin as it sent out a divine sense message. Greeting! After seeing this blade, deep down Wang Lin couldn't help but admire Shu Liguo. Back then, when he found Shu Liguo, he didn't know what Shu Liguo did, but he was getting along very well with the half-moon blade. When the half-moon blade saw that Shu Liguo was going to leave, it quickly followed. All of this was outside Wang Lin's expectations. Although Wang Lin still couldn't control it or imprint his divine sense onto it, as soon as Shu Liguo encountered danger, the half-moon blade would help. As a result, Shu Liguo's pride shot up. If it wasn't tea for the fact that he was terrified of Wang Lin and Wang Lin held his life, Shu Liguo would have already rebelled. Wang Lin knew that he wasn't a match for the half-moon blade. If he started fighting it, it would be a sticky situation. However, for some reason, the half-moon blade really liked Shu Liguo, so Wang Lin used Shu Liguo to control it. During this year, Wang Lin had tried to study this half-moon blade, just whose soul fragment was powerful enough to form this blade. But even until now, he still hadn't made any headway, and as time passed, Wang Lin no longer spent time on this matter. Master, I am going to bring number 4 to stroll around. After he saw Wang Lin nod in approval, he immediately charged out the window. The half-moon blade quickly followed and released a series of blade hums. The sword and blade disappeared in the sky, going who knows where. Wang Lin touched his bag of holding. He still had a lot of things to do before he leaves. A lot of treasures in his bag needed to be refined again. After all, this trip to planet Tanyun was shrouded in a fog. He had no idea what was going to happen this time. While he was thinking this, a very arrogant voice came from the void and entered Wang Lin's ear. Wang Lin, come and look at the matter you asked me to investigate. I am outside of Phoenix City in a village named Mulberry. In the future, don't brother me with these small matters. I ain't enjoying my life as a king too much, so I don't have time for you. That's right. When you are about to leave, just tell me and we can leave together. Situ Nan's voice was filled with joy and then it disappeared. Wang Lin revealed a smile. When he met Situ Nan again after coming out of the Suzaku tomb, they were originally going to come back to Chu and leave together after dealing with some matters. However, halfway to Chu, Situ Nan saw a mortal palace and an urge to become a king appeared. No matter what, he wouldn't go to Chu with Wang Lin and rushed toward that palace instead. Wang Lin didn't know what method he used, but the next day, the king made Situ Nan a king equal to the real king. From that moment on, he lived a carefree life. However, he didn't forgot about leaving the planet and told Wang Lin to tell him when he was ready to go. Wang Lin took a deep breath, stood up, opened the door, and walked out. The moment he came out, the girl under the shade opened her beautiful eyes. After seeing Wang Lin, she smiled, ended her cultivation, and happily said, Uncle, what do you think of Ru'er's cultivation speed? I have already reached the second layer of QI condensation. This girl was Zhou Ru. 1 year ago, after Wang Lin arrived at Chu, he immediately summoned the pagoda and let Zhou Ru and Little White out. Wang Lin had left a lot of food inside the pagoda for Zhou Ru to eat. After Zhou Ru came out, she begged him to teach her how to cultivate. Wang Lin couldn't win against her, so he gave her the chant for QI condensation. Zhou Ru had become an adult in the blink of an eye. Wang Lin couldn't help but think of Li Muwan when he looked to Zhou Ru. Uncle, what's wrong? Zhou Ru walked up and gave Wang Lin a strange look. Zhou Ru's knowledge of Li Muwan was wiped by Wang Lin, so she naturally wouldn't know anything about her. As for Little White, he would naturally not tell her anything about it. Touching a strand of Zhou Ru's hair, Wang Lin revealed a gentle gaze. This kind of gaze was rare from Wang Lin. Although he looked like he was the same age as Zhou Ru, this gentle gaze looked very natural. Wang Lin softly said, Uncle is getting old. Looking at you made me think of someone I knew. Zhou Ru laughed. Her voice was like the sound of bells ringing in the gentle wind. She laughed and said, Uncle, you aren't old at all. A new junior apprentice brother just asked me yesterday if you were my older brother. Wang Lin faintly smiled. This child spent all day yesterday cultivating, so there was no junior apprentice brother at all. She said that to comfort him. Uncle has already cultivated for 600 years. How could I not be old? Wang Lin let out a sigh. His eyes showed the passage of time. He'd had experienced far too much in 600 years. From a mortal no one knew, he reached the point he was at today step by step. At this moment, he was the person who decided who the next Suzaku would be. When he reflected on all of this, Wang Lin sometimes felt like it was all a dream. 600 years of cultivation allowed Wang Lin to see through a lot of time. Also, he had steeled his heart, making him even more exceptional. Ru'er, do you still remember your parents? Wang Lin looked at Zhou Ru. Zhou Ru's body trembled as she revealed a look of confusion. Shortly after, she lowered her head and said, only vague memories. Wang Lin looked at Zhou Ru with a hint of apology in his eyes. If it wasn't tea for him, she would be with her parents and would have had a warmth-filled childhood. unlike now where she only had a tiger as a friend. "Ruer, Uncle will take you home," said Wang Lin softly. With one wave of his sleeve, a cloud appeared under them and flew off into the distance with Zhou Ru on it. Little White quickly flipped over and no longer basked in the sun. He let out a roar, jumped into the sky, and quickly followed them. On the cloud, Zhou Ru bit her lower lip and softly asked, "Uncle, you found my parents?" "I found them." "Zhou Ru, remember that once you see your parents you must be filial to them. Remember that filial love is the first love people have. If you can be filial, then you can be considered a person," said Wang Lin. It was as if his parents' figures had appeared before his eyes. Zhou Ru nodded. Then she looked at Wang Lin with a bit of hesitation and said, "Uncle, didn't you say you would go and bring me when you leave planet Suzaku?" Wang Lin looked at Zhou Ru and sighed. Our fate ends here." "Uncle." Zhou Ru's body started trembling. Her expression greatly changed. Her eyes turned red, and tears began to fill her eyes. "Don't say any more," said Wang Lin, with a heavy tone. With one step, the cloud under them flew even faster. Little White let out a roar behind them and continued to fly. He secretly thought, although this tiger grandfather can run as fast you re-dreaming if you think you can get rid of me that easily. Even if I cough up blood, I'll still catch up. Here comes another 4,000 words in a major chapter. Leo doesn't make empty promises. Could it now be time to wish for the like button for the video? You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter Our Fateful Connection ends. Planet Suzaku outside of Phoenix City in Chu, in Immortal Village. It was a morning in spring. There was smoke coming out from the various houses, and there were sounds of dogs barking along with children playing. The fifth house to the east of the village was a humble house. A slightly older woman was squatting in the kitchen, lighting the stove to prepare to cook. Her figure was slightly bent and filled with age. Smoke came from the firewood, causing her to cough, so she quickly picked up the bamboo fan. After fanning it a bit, the smoke finally scattered. Ruth's mom, a voice called to her from the room next to the kitchen. The woman put down the fan and wiped her hand on her dress. She quickly left the kitchen and arrived at the room where the voice came from. After opening the door and entering the room, she saw an old man sitting on the bed. His eyes were sunken in and deep wrinkles covered his face. The man's entire body was just skin and bones, and his eyes had no light in them. The woman arrived next to the bed. Then she looked at the man and tears came out of her eyes. "Husband, what do you want to eat?" The man raised his right hand and the woman quickly helped him sit up. "Ruth's mom, I had a dream yesterday that our daughter returned home. A hint of brightness appeared in the man's dim eyes. Our daughter will return home soon." The woman's tears started pouring out. "Yes, she will return home soon," she said. "I regretted my decision back then. I shouldn't have let that Taoist take her away." In a flash, 20 years have passed and I have no idea how she is. The man looked even older. The woman wiped away her tears and whispered, "Don't worry, our daughter has good fortune. She is definitely safe." These two are Zhou Ru's parents. During the Forsaken Immortal Clan's invasion, they were forced to move here to get away from the war. However, these two elders have always thought of Zhou Ru. Zhou Ru being taken away by that Taoist has always been a thorn in their hearts. The years of longing made this thorn even longer and stronger, making the pain even worse. Zhou Ru's father has always regretted this. After he got sick, he never got better and became thinner and thinner by the day. All of the household's burdens fell on Zhou Ru's mother. A housewife had to support the entire family. However, in her dreams, tears filled her eyes and she still called Zhou Ru's name. "Our daughter will come home. Husband, you had a dream yesterday about her returning. Your dream will definitely come true." The woman wiped away her tears. Zhou Ru's father let out a deep sigh and was about to say something when his eyes locked onto the door. It was as if his entire person was frozen and couldn't move a muscle. The woman was startled as she turned around to see where her husband was looking at. When her gaze reached the door, her entire body began to tremble. She saw a girl standing at the door. This girl was very charming and had long, flowing black hair. Her appearance was a bit similar to the couple's vague memories of Zhou Ru. The woman hesitantly whispered, "You." "Mother!" Tears suddenly fell from the girl's eyes as she arrived next to the woman and began to cry. Ru'er, it really is Ru'er. Husband, she really came back. The woman became so excited that tears streamed down her cheeks. The woman hugged the girl and began to cry. Zhouru's father seemed to be suddenly filled with unimaginable power. He sat up by himself. He looked at Zhouru as tears flowed down his cheeks and said, God have mercy on us. God have mercy on us. My daughter has returned home. Outside the house, Wang Lin sighed. He was filled with regret toward these two. He pointed with his right hand. An array of spiritual energy quietly entered each of Zhouru's parents. Zhouru's father's body completely recovered and was filled with vitality. Zhouru's mother was the same. Ru'er, uncle, is leaving. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin left. He appeared ever so bleak and lonely. Inside the house, Zhouru seemed to feel something. Then she looked out the window and saw the bleak and lonely figure. Uncle, will Ru'er have a chance to see you again in this life, thought Zhouru. The sorrow in her heart deepened. In her heart, Wang Lin was more important than her parents. After all, she had been with Wang Lin ever since she was little. Uncle, I'll continue to cultivate until I can leave planet Suzaku. When I can leave, I'll come find you by then. Little Ru'er will no longer be dragging you down. Wang Lin left. Little White let out a few growls outside of Zhouru's house. His big eyes looked into Zhouru's house, and filled with reluctance. Shortly after, he let out a loud roar before jumping into the sky and disappearing in a ray of white light. This roar shocked all of the villagers in the village, but when they came out, they found nothing. However, all of the livestock in the village didn't dare to leave their pens for a month. Every night their bodies trembled violently as if they were traumatized. Country of Chu. Wang Lin's body appeared outside the cloud sky sect. Tai Yan, come out to see me! Wang Lin's voice echoed across the cloud sky sect. A ray of light quickly flew out from the cloud sky sect. The light stopped 10 feet before Wang Lin, revealing an old man. This person was Tai Yan. Tai Yan had reached the Soul Formation, and the country of Chu had become a rank 4 cultivation country. Tai Yan is here. Tai Yan clasped his hands and respectfully stood there. His heart was filled with respect toward Wang Lin. On planet Suzaku, Wang Lin's name was a legend. Wang Lin, also known as Sang Niu, chopped Red Butterfly's arm, killed Qian Feng, surprised Liu Mei, forced Zijin to retreat, and with one word, made Zhou Wutai the 15th Suzaku. All of this spread to every cultivator across planet Suzaku. Almost no one didn't know of these stories. In Tai Yan's heart, Wang Lin was the heavens, and his words were the heavens' law that no one could resist. Wang Lin waved his right hand and a bag of holding flew out and landed in Tai Yan's hand. If Zhouru can cultivate to the nascent soul stage on her own, give this to her! If she can then forget about it. There's a seal by me on it. This seal is very simple. All you need to do is carefully study it and you will be able to break it one day. Wang Lin's voice was extremely plain. Tai Yan was startled, and then he quickly said, Tai Yan doesn't dare. This is your gift to Zhouru. Even if I were to die, I wouldn't dare to break it open. Wang Lin looked at Tai Yan and nodded. You better not lust after it, or else you will have to suffer the consequences. Remember this well. Tai Yan's heart shook and he memorized it in his heart. He wouldn't dare to disregard Wang Lin's words, to not believe Wang Lin's words. This feeling followed him even to his death. Wang Lin took a good look around before letting out a sigh. Then his body turned into a cloud of green smoke and was scattered by the wind. Tai Yan was completely soaked in sweat. He carefully put the bag of holding away and returned to the cloud sky sect. On the extreme northern part of planet Suzaku, where the country of Shuyu used to be, and where the icy wind could chill one to the bones. No one knew when, but a field of roses had grown here. However, the roses weren't red but white. Fields of white roses had grown in this cold place, and their fragrance filled the area. On the eastern part of the area, there was an icy valley, and inside the valley a single blue rose was growing. It grew facing the cold wind, and its branches were like ice. It was like a proud maiden proudly standing there, creating its own charm. On this day a person entered the valley. This person was wearing white robes and looked very calm. At the moment the person entered, the blue rose seemed to have noticed and released a fragrance. The valley was suddenly filled with the fragrance of the blue rose. It was as if there was a maiden dancing in the valley, giving people a very mysterious feeling. The white-robed young man stood silently behind the blue rose. He looked at it for a very long time before squatting down and gently plucking it. Then, he turned around and left. As the young man left, the white roses all began to wilt and die. It was as if they had only grown to accompany that blue rose. When the blue rose was taken away, they lost their reason for living, so they could only scatter. Country of Zhao, foot of the Hengyu Mountain, the Wang family's ancestral home. On this day, a young man wearing a snow-white robe silently appeared in the temple of the ancestral home. He quietly looked at the row of tablets before locking his gaze on the two at the top. The young man quietly stared at them for a very long time and never moved. This lasted for 1 day and 1 night. On the morning of the second day, a servant came to close the room. When the servant caught sight of the young man in the snow-white robe, he was about to call for help, but his body suddenly softened and fell on the ground. The young man silently looked at the tablets, his eyes filled with remembrance. He stood there for 3 days and 3 nights. Each day, the remembrance in his eyes deepened, and 2 streams of tears fell from his cheeks. After 3 days, the young man finally moved. He slowly kneeled on the ground and kowtowed. "Father, mother, your son is going to leave," muttered the young man. Then he stood up and walked out of the temple. Right now there were a lot of people standing outside the temple. There were men and women, old and young among the people outside. They were all wearing luxurious clothes and all looked like they were blessed. There were even some cultivators among them. Even though their cultivation levels weren't high, they looked very heroic. The person in front was Wang Zhuo. 1 day ago, Wang Zhuo felt something call for him, so he came here. When he arrived at the temple, he felt Wang Lin's presence. He knew that Wang Lin was not hiding his presence, and that the call he felt was also from Wang Lin. That was why he came, and also why he called all of the Wang family here. No matter what they were doing, he made them stop and had cultivators bring them here. At 36, Leo is still getting wisdom teeth, in pain for many days, with swollen jaws, frustrated, and they're not even breaking through yet. Counting them, there are 3 or 4 wisdom teeth not yet emerged. Chapter 471, Refining Treasure. At the moment Wang Lin walked out, Wang Zhuo shouted, "All Wang family members kneel." The more than 100 Wang family descendants outside the temple all kneeled. No matter what their identity was, no matter what status they enjoyed among mortals, they were kneeling before their founding ancestor right now. The Wang family's founding ancestor from 600 years ago. It was the descendants' filial duty to kneel toward their ancestor. Also, this ancestor was a very famous person all over planet Suzaku. The Wang family was one of the very few families on planet Suzaku where even if cultivators met them, they would have to be very respectful. All of this was because the Wang family produced Wang Lin. Wang Zhuo looked at Wang Lin and said, with a heavy tone, "Wang Lin, I brought all the Wang family descendants to send you off." Wang Lin looked at the unfamiliar faces that contained his family's bloodline and said, "All of you rise." The entire Wang family stood up and respectfully looked at Wang Lin. "After I leave, I will leave the Wang family to you," whispered Wang Lin as he looked at Wang Zhuo. Wang Zhuo pondered a bit. After a while, he let out a sigh and said, "In an instant, 600 years have passed." "Wang Lin, you be careful. As for the matters at home, I'll take care of them." Wang Lin turned around and took another good look at the temple. He took 1 step and then disappeared without a trace. The ancestral home was completely silent. All of the Wang family members kowtowed once more. "Good travels, ancestor." A wave of respectful send-offs came from the Wang family members. Scenes from the past played in Wang Zhuo's mind as he looked at the sky. He followed his father to the village where Wang Lin lived. He saw a youth next to second uncle greeting everyone with a smile. The smile on the youth's smiling face continued to expand in Wang Zhuo's mind until it was the only thing left. Wang Lin, 2 streams of tears fell from Wang Zhuo's old eyes. Eastern part of planet Suzaku. Wang Lin was flying across a wasteland on top of the mosquito. The sound of the mosquito breaking the sound barrier could be heard as it rushed forward. His eyes were bright like a torch as he looked around. Shortly after, his expression changed. The mosquito quickly understood Wang Lin's intentions. It let out a roar and quickly landed on the plain below. Wang Lin took a step and landed on the ground. The mosquito stood there and cautiously observed its surroundings. Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding. A ray of green light shot out and turned into the thunder toad. After the thunder toad came out, it let out a thunderous roar, causing the mosquito to respond. Then the mosquito began to mess with the toad and the two began to play with each other. Wang Lin opened his bag of holding and his divine sense spread out inside it. He chose this place because it was remote. He decided to organize and refine the treasures he had inside his bag before leaving. First was the celestial sword and the half-moon blade. He only took one look at them and then moved on. As for the axe, he wasn't going to refine it because he was going to give it to his original body. As for the 4 sword sheaths, Wang Lin still didn't understand them. He felt regretful that he still didn't understand their mysteries even at this point, where he was about to leave planet Suzaku. He waved his right hand and the 4 sword sheaths started floating before him. Then he spat out some origin spiritual energy and quickly surrounded the 4 sword sheaths. He began to refine them. Time slowly passed. 3 days later, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. The connection between him and the 4 sword sheaths was even stronger now. He waved his right hand and put the sword sheaths away. This time Wang Lin took out the soul lasher. There was a trace of divine sense on this whip that Wang Lin couldn't break with his current cultivation, but he still had a way of dealing with it. With a thought, the pagoda containing Zhou Yi's domain flew out. It landed on the ground and an ascendant level domain immediately spread out. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, then his hand formed a seal, pointed at the soul lasher, and sent out a seal. The whip immediately started shaking and a white aura spread out from it. This white aura was extremely tyrannical and immediately shattered Wang Lin's seal. Wang Lin's expression remained calm as he willed Zhou Yi's domain to quickly gather around the soul lasher. Soon, a mass of green light surrounded the soul lasher and the white aura around it. Wang Lin's eyes were calm as he pointed at his forehead, and his origin soul flew out. He flew at the soul lasher and began to refine it. This process lasted 7 days. 7 days later, with Zhou Yi's domain and Wang Lin's origin soul, the divine sense in the soul lasher was finally destroyed. With it gone, Wang Lin left his own divine sense on the soul lasher with his origin soul. When he looked at the soul lasher, he could feel the connection he had with it. It was as if they were one. There were many layers of restrictions inside the soul lasher, just like how the straw hat was constructed with layers of restrictions. However, there was more than one straw hat, making it worth much less than the soul lasher. Aside from hiding one's appearance, Wang Lin was also able to learn a bit from the jade Xianxia gave him. The most useful thing about the straw hat was that he would learn more restrictions from studying it and thus increase the power of his restriction flag. Wang Lin's current goal for the restriction flag was 9,999 sets of restrictions. In order to reach this goal, he would have to learn that many restrictions. As for the soul lasher, Wang Lin was confident that it was not a pseudo-celestial treasure. Although he could use celestial spiritual energy on it, it was somehow much weaker than when using spiritual energy. This point made Wang Lin very confused. He later found out that he didn't even have to use spiritual energy. As long as he used it, it would produce its own mysterious force. As a result, this item suddenly became mysterious in Wang Lin's eyes. This soul lasher belonged to Chu Yunfei, but he was forced to quickly leave the planet. Although Chu Yunfei knew that the soul lasher was mysterious, it became a burden to him. The soul lasher was in Qianfeng's hands, and Qianfeng was Zhu Kezi's disciple. He was afraid that it would cause too much of a commotion, so he abandoned it. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He felt that there was something strange about this whip. After pondering a bit, he put it away. He waved his right hand and one more item appeared. The scroll. While staring at the scroll, Wang Lin pondered a bit and then put it away. Among all of his treasures, this was the most mysterious treasure he had other than the heaven-defying bead, although the soul lasher was just added to this list as well. Wang Lin raised his head to look at the sky and revealed a ponderous expression. He then touched the bag of holding, and a war chariot filled with spikes came out, landing on the ground. The moment this chariot appeared, all of the surrounding sand was blown away as if it were afraid of getting close. The spikes on the chariot emitted a cold gleam, causing anyone who looked at it to feel fear. As Wang Lin stared at the chariot, he slapped his bag of holding and took out the beast trap. After giving Situ Nan one of the war chariots, Wang Lin still had two left. He knew that he couldn't handle the larger of the two, or else he would definitely be injured by the backlash. However, Wang Lin was confident in controlling the second war chariot with the beast trap. Half a month later, Wang Lin left the plain. During this half a month, roars from a beast constantly echoed across the plain. These roars shook the high heavens. Even some people from the forsaken Immortal clan felt the angry roars from the battle spirit that wouldn't bow to anyone. Wang Lin sat on the mosquito beast and quickly flew into the distance. His face was pale and he was holding a celestial jade in his hand. Shortly after, the jade turned to dust and disappeared. The moment the celestial jade disappeared, another one appeared in his hand, and he continued to absorb celestial spiritual energy. The power of the spirit beast on the war chariot was outside of Wang Lin's expectations. This beast's unyielding nature was even more powerful than the previous one's. This was from the pride of never bowing to anything. In the end, Wang Lin poured all his effort into trapping the spirit beast inside the beast trap. However, this resulted in a crack appearing on the beast trap. After restricting this unyielding beast, the spiritual energy in Wang Lin's body was drained in an instant. He would have died from it had he not been prepared ahead of time. Wang Lin opened his eyes, touched the beast trap on his wrist, and revealed a look of worry. This will be a powerful treasure. Unfortunately, there are only 3 primary souls left in the soul flag. If I had more, it would be able to stall for time while the war chariot activates. The activation still takes a long time. With my current treasures, I have nothing to fear when facing mid-stage soul transformation cultivators. Against average late-stage soul transformation cultivators, as long as I have time to activate the war chariot, I'll also have the ability to put up a fight. However, against those that have a celestial treasure, or are half a step into the ascendant stage, I'll likely lose. As for ascendant cultivators, I have no way of winning. I am still too weak, and planet Tianyun has far more resources than planet Suzaku. There must be even more powerful cultivators there, so I must be very careful when I am there. Unfortunately, the heaven-defying bead is still missing the metal element. When I killed Qianfeng, I managed to catch Red Butterfly's metal elemental body, but it only gave the heaven-defying 1/3 of the needed metal element. Wang Lin let out a sigh and flew off into the distance. He was heading toward where Situ Nan was living his life as a king. In the rank 4 cultivation country of Zhou, in the palace of the mortal capital, Situ Nan's voice could be heard from within. Haha, service this lord well. If this lord enjoys himself, I'll give you darlings these pills that will keep your skin as smooth and white as it is now for 20 to 30 years. Voices like birds chirping continued to come out from the palace. There were also song-like voices mixed within. All of it was very enchanting. Leo has caught a cold, his nose running like a leaky faucet, making it unlikely he'll make it home tomorrow. Trying hard to ensure a new update, but lacking the energy, longing for the like button for the video. Chapter 472, Planet Suzaku. Late at night, the moon was shining brightly in the sky. A fierce figure was flying slowly through the air. The fierce figure was a vicious beast, and that beast was shaped like a mosquito countless times larger than a normal one. On the back of the mosquito stood one person. This person had a head of long hair that flowed elegantly in the air. He had his hands behind his back while standing on the back of the mosquito. His clothes made him look like a very upstanding person. This person was Wang Lin. The mosquito slowly closed in on a city below it. This was where the mortal capital city of the country of Zhou was located. The city was filled with tall buildings, and there was a river running through its center going from north to south. There were many boats on this river, and although it was 3 a.m., there were lights coming from inside the boats as well as the laughter of women, making this place look even more luxurious. Wang Lin looked at those boats and ordered the mosquito to fly down. The mosquito silently flew above the river like a god passing by. On one of the boats, a rich man who was drunk stuck his head out to get some fresh air when he saw the shadow of the mosquito beast. In an instant, all of the alcohol in his system disappeared due to shock. It took a long time for him to recover. He thought that he had drank too much and was hallucinating. On the east side of the city, there was a very fancy palace where the song of joyous laughter and festivity could be heard. From the back of the mosquito, Wang Lin said, "Situ, it is time to go." Shortly after, all of noise stopped. There was no song coming from the palace anymore. It was as if everyone just froze. A young boy wearing a purple robe walked out. He revealed look of regret and sighed. This old man hasn't enjoyed himself enough yet. Cultivate, cultivate. What dog fart is there to cultivate? My life as a king is still better. I can do whatever I want, and no one dares to offend me. Wang Lin raised his head, looked at the moon in the sky, and slowly said, "We should be leaving." Wait a moment. The little king of this country has been pretty good to me, so let me reward him. With that, Situnan disappeared. Half an hour later, Situnan's figure suddenly appeared next to Wang Lin and laughed. "Let us go. Time to leave planet Suzaku." He then stepped onto the mosquito beast's back. The mosquito beast was already afraid of him, so it let out a cry. It then rushed into the sky and disappeared into the horizon. The mosquito flew faster and faster until it reached the end of the first layer of the planet's atmosphere. Once one goes past the atmosphere, they can leave planet Suzaku. When they arrived at a certain altitude, Wang Lin put the mosquito away. Then, he moved like a meteor through the atmosphere. Situnan was even faster, so he pulled ahead of Wang Lin. The power of the atmosphere pressed down upon them, creating a powerful resistance force like a giant mountain weighing down on them. Situnan laughed and shouted, "Scatter for this old man!" With one roar, the atmosphere seemed to be torn apart by a pair of giant hands. The layers of the atmosphere were pushed aside, creating a tunnel. The atmosphere was normally invisible, and one could only feel it with their own body. However, right now a ripple was spreading through the atmosphere and all the way around the entire planet. At this moment, whether they were mortals or cultivators, everyone raised their heads. From their points of view, the sky suddenly became very colorful as rainbow-colored light shined down on them. Zhou Wutai was standing at the peak of Mount Suzaku, revealing a look of regret. Behind him stood several people. These were the newly appointed messengers of Mount Suzaku. They were in charge of delivering Zhou Wutai's every order. Zhou Wutai muttered to himself, "Brother Wang, may your trip be smooth." Scenes of his time with Wang Lin flashed through his mind. From when they met because of a little prince of the mortal world, to when the four-sect alliance was destroyed, to Wang Lin refusing the title of Suzaku and giving it to him. Zhou Wutai recalled all of it and entered a dream-like state. Time flies, things are ever-changing. It has always been like this. All of the Wang family members in Zhao raised their heads to look at the sky. Wang Zhuo looked at the sky and let out a sigh. Beside him was a very handsome 14 or 15-year-old teenage boy. He turned to Wang Zhuo and asked, "Ancestor Grandpa, is that the other ancestor grandpa in the sky?" Wang Zhuo rubbed the boy's head and said, "Yes, he is the person I respect the most in my life, my younger brother." In the jungle beside the valley in Chu, a very large and fierce tiger had just pounced on a boar and easily killed it with one bite. He threw the boar behind him toward the 7 or 8 female tigers that were following him. The tiger was about to let out a roar when he suddenly looked into the sky and stood there motionless. He finally left. Every time this tiger sees him, my heart feels cold. After a while, the tiger let out a roar filled with joy. He turned around and led the female tigers behind him into the jungle for the next prey. Little White was still waiting for Zhouru's call. To this day, he still had a feeling that Zhouru would come to take him away. Country of Chu, Phoenix Village. Zhouru's parents were talking with Zhouru in their yard. They had joyous expressions on their faces. The three of them were talking about something when Zhouru suddenly raised her head and looked toward the sky. Uncle Zhouru stared at the sky. At this moment, she could feel that Uncle was moving farther and farther away from her. This distance was increasing and seemed like it would continue increasing forever. Planet Suzaku, where the Forsaken Immortal clan settled down. Xianxia was sitting by himself on a tall mountain looking at the sky. His face looked very old, even older than before. He sustained heavy injuries in the Suzaku tomb, and even after a year of healing, he only recovered little. He also felt his lifespan coming to an end, causing him to feel a burst of fatigue. The lifespan of Forsaken Immortal clan members was a bit longer than cultivators, or else with Xianxia's cultivation, he would have died years ago. The younger generation will surpass us in no time after a long time. He let out a sigh. In the area of the Forsaken Immortal clan, 5,000 kilometers away from Xianxia, a young man covered in flashing golden tattoos looked into the sky and revealed a look of melancholy. "Brother Wang, do you still remember me? This person was the junior master of the Forsaken Immortal clan. There was a story behind him. In the Suzaku tomb, he didn't make it to the battle for the cultivation planet crystal, but he didn't lose his life. Brother Wang, I am going to leave planet Suzaku too. I hope we have a chance to meet once more in the future. At this moment, all of the cultivators on planet Suzaku felt the fluctuation in the sky. Under their gazes, Wang Lin and Situ Nan broke through the atmosphere and stepped into space. On planet Suzaku, the ancestor of the giant demon clan trapped under the corpse sect was still calling for help. In the land of the ancient god, Tuosin's mad laughter still echoed. The day when he will regain his freedom was not far. In the Sea of the Devils, the rumor of the kill order still echoed among the demonic cultivators, never to die out. A legend, a cultivator called Wang Lin left his mark all over planet Suzaku. Leo has a cold, with a sore throat and a bit of dizziness, not daring to promise if there will be a third watch today, doing his utmost to get through. Chapter Trading Planet. In the vast space outside of planet Suzaku, a ray of light quickly moved through the empty void. At the front end of the ray of light was a giant compass. Although it was missing a piece, it was still moving very fast. Wang Lin was sitting at the center while Situ Nan was sitting on the side. Wang Lin, we are going the same way now. Once we reach the trade planet and I buy a few things, we will part ways. Situ Nan's voice was a bit depressed. Wang Lin pondered a bit before slowly saying, there will be a day when we meet again. Didn't you want to go become a king on planet Feng Luan? After hearing the word king, Situ Nan immediately laughed. That is correct. That is my goal. Wang Lin faintly smiled. Then he turned his focus to the star compass and followed the star map Situ Nan gave him. They turned left toward the endless void of space. Wang Lin said, the last time you went to that trade planet was tens of thousands of years ago. I wonder if it is still there. Situ Nan pondered a bit and said, it should be still there. It's a free trade planet and has already existed for a very long time. Unless there was some heavenly change, it shouldn't have disappeared. There are countless treasures and materials there. Everyone that goes there is normally from the surrounding cultivation planets. I went there with Yu once and traded for quite a few treasures. Wang Lin nodded. One of the reasons for going to the trade planet was to send Situ Nan off. Situ Nan planned to get some tools he needed to travel long distances through space. The second reason was Wang Lin wanted to see if there were any materials to fix his star compass. After all, his star compass was only an imitation and was still missing some materials. With the materials, Wang Lin could refine the star compass and complete it. As a result, not only would the star compass be even faster, it would obtain the ability to attack. After flying for several days, a small planet appeared in the distance. This wasn't the trade planet Situ Nan spoke of, but planet Suzaku's moon. The original body has been here cultivating this entire time. When the star compass got close to the moon, the original body that was deep within the moon threw a punch. Cracks that looked like terrifying dragons extended from underground all the way to the surface. A series of cracking sounds followed by a loud boom came from a basin on the moon. At the same time, a black figure flew out from the basin. This figure had a head full of red hair that moved without any wind, and a sharp face that gave off a hardened aura. There were 3 stars slowly spinning on the figure's forehead, and it had a pair of cold eyes that were black like the eternal night, giving off a freezing chill. There were countless cracks on his bronze-colored body, making his skin look very rough, but it was this rough skin that gave his body a desolate aura. At this moment, the original body was like a primordial beast, giving off a monstrous aura. Situ Nan was shocked. Even though he had heard about Wang Lin's original body from Wang Lin, he couldn't help but feel his heart shake, even with his vast experience as a cultivator. Good. Situ Nan's eyes lit up brightly. The cold eyes of the original body became a bit warmer after seeing Situ Nan. The original body nodded, and then landed on the star compass. Situ Nan looked at the original body and then at Wang Lin. He nodded and said, good. Even with my cultivation, it is hard to tell that the two of you belong together as one. I believe that once you two fuse, your cultivation will increase by a level. Wang Lin faintly smiled and said, after fusing with my original body, my cultivation will reach the peak of the mid-stage of soul transformation. The original body fused with Wang Lin, causing his body to lightly tremble. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a hint of coldness as he clenched his fist and said, this feeling is very good. After fusing with the original body, the star compass didn't make any more stops, and flew toward the trade planet Situ Nan spoke of. In the blink of an eye, 1 month passed. During this month, Wang Lin and Situ Nan didn't sit idly. Situ Nan taught Wang Lin some spells he knew, and they spent the rest of the time sparring with each other. At first, Situ Nan would suppress his cultivation to match Wang Lin's. They fought at the same cultivation level, without any treasures and only using spells. This exposed Wang Lin's weakness. Situ Nan had an endless stream of various spells that he had mastered over the years, so he was very powerful even without any magical treasures. Because of his original body, Wang Lin didn't lose but was in a very sorry state. Under Situ Nan's teaching, Wang Lin slowly relearned a lot of spells he hadn't used in a long time, and along with the new spells Situ Nan taught him, Wang Lin was able to put up a decent fight. Then Situ Nan increased his cultivation level to the late stage of soul transformation. Wang Lin was naturally no match when no magical treasures were used, but Situ Nan said, "You have too little combat experience with late-stage soul transformation and ascendant cultivators. That is why you can make accurate decisions when you fight them. That is why you must use your time with me to experience the power of powerful cultivators and hone your combat experience." After Wang Lin heard this, he seemed to have gained some insight. His movements slowly became more astute and more clever. In the end, Situ Nan increased his cultivation level to the early stage of ascendant. A cultivator of this level could easily kill Wang Lin, so Situ Nan's requirement was for Wang Lin to focus on evading and escaping. This kind of training was very cruel. It was a good thing Wang Lin had fused with his original body. If he didn't have the body of a 3-star ancient god, he would have been seriously injured multiple times. Situ Nan also saw this, and that was why he steeled his heart to train Wang Lin. Although 1 month of time was short, Wang Lin's gains were not shallow. On this day, a blue cultivation planet appeared before Wang Lin. A ring of light surrounded the planet and gave off a gentle glow. Situ Nan's eyes lit up as he stared at the blue cultivation planet. His powerful divine sense swept forth and extended to the surface of the planet. After a short while, he withdrew his divine sense and proudly said, "It is the same as when I was here last time. There has been no change at all since I was last here. The only difference is that now there is no one with a higher cultivation level than me here. Haha, then I am going to steal what I need. I came here to steal anyways." Wang Lin bitterly smiled. The star compass left a trail of light as he flew toward the cultivation planet. The gentle light didn't try to block them at all. When they got close, the light moved apart, opening a passage. The star compass broke through the atmosphere and entered the cultivation planet. Just at this moment, 3 rays of light quickly flew toward them. Situ Nan looked at the 3 rays of light and shouted, "Scram for this, old man!" The 3 rays suddenly stopped. After pondering for a bit, they turned around and left. Situ Nan laughed out loud. Then he jumped off the star compass, flew toward the surface and said, "Wang Lin, this old man is going to go steal stuff. You can casually look around for a bit. I'll come find you 3 days from now." The moment the voice entered Wang Lin's ears, Situ Nan's figure had already disappeared from Wang Lin's sight. After putting away the star compass, Wang Lin took 1 step, turned into a cloud of green smoke, and quickly flew away. This cultivation planet was covered mostly by an ocean. Waves of the ocean's smell hit Wang Lin's face as he descended. The dark blue ocean was very rough. Wang Lin was pounded by the ocean breeze as he flew toward the continent. His divine sense spread out and he could feel the movement of every blade of grass within 5,000 kilometers. The continent in the distance became closer and closer until he finally landed. With his divine sense, he saw a giant city that looked like a vicious beast resting. Mingmei City was one of the largest cities on this planet. There were no mortals in this city, only cultivators. There were countless shops covering the entire city. There was also a giant open-air plaza on the west side of the city. In this plaza, cultivators from other planets could rent a stall with spirit stones to sell treasures, trade treasures, or exchange for spirit stones and celestial jades. There were countless cultivators moving between the numerous shops. The plaza on the west side of the city was extremely crowded. The northern side of the city was not so crowded, but this was also where the most expensive shops were located. There were only 9 stores on the northern side. Each of them looked like pavilions from the celestial realm, and all the shopkeepers had high cultivation levels. This was especially true for Ninth Shop, which was called the #1 store in Mingmei City. At this moment, a green-robed young man entered from the eastern gate. He was standing up straight, and his long hair flowed behind him, making him appear very elegant. This person was Wang Lin. After paying spirit stones to enter the city, his gaze swept past the stores one by one. Wang Lin's goal was very clear. He needed 2 materials to repair the star compass. These 2 materials were very rare and wouldn't be found in normal shops. As Wang Lin walked forward, he looked at all the shops he passed by. Sometimes he would pause for a bit before moving on. When he arrived at the 7th shop, Wang Lin turned around and saw a small young man not far from him. This young had been secretly following Wang Lin ever since he entered the city. After seeing Wang Lin look over, the young man didn't panic at all but instead smiled. He quickly walked up to Wang Lin and clasped his hands. I presume this is the first time Senior has come to Mingmei City. This person's cultivation level was late-stage nascent soul, not yet at the soul formation stage. Wang Lin plainly asked, "What do you want?" The smile on the young man's face didn't change, but his heart was very nervous. When Wang Lin first entered the city, he instantly was able to see that it was Wang Lin's first time entering this city. Leo goes to the hospital with his wife, then directly to pick up his daughter from school, continuing the storytelling upon return. Chapter Void Wood Stone. It has to be said that most people who were here before would enter from the West Gate, because it was closer to the free market in the plaza. A lot of things that couldn't be found at the shops could be found there, and the prices would be a bit lower. The only downside was that it would be difficult to tell whether an item was real or fake, unlike in the stores, which would not sell fake items. Shopping in the plaza depended on the buyer's ability to tell items apart. As for people who entered from the East Gate, it was either their first time entering the city, or they were a big customer. The young man quickly said, "Senior Junior is Li Danan. I grew up in Mingmei City. If Senior is willing, Junior can guide Senior to help avoid a lot of trouble. It would only cost you 10 high-quality spirit stones." Wang Lin looked at the young man, pondered a bit, and nodded. 10 high-quality spirit stones was a bit pricey. With this much, one could buy some low-quality treasures and pills. However, just before Wang Lin went to the Suzaku tomb, he stole a lot of spirit stone from the Forsaken Immortal clan, so he was very rich right now. Li Danan immediately revealed a respectful expression and asked Senior, "Are you looking for magical treasures, celestial jades or materials, or some kind of runes or spells?" Wang Lin calmly said, "I want Void Wood Stone. Have you heard of it?" Void Wood Stone. Li Danan revealed a pondering expression before his eyes lit up and he said, "Is it the Void Wood Stone that has wood element but grows like stone and only grows 1 inch every 1,000 years?" Wang Lin was very shocked that this person knew about the Void Wood Stone. This showed that this person did know quite a bit. The Void Wood Stone was one of the materials from 2CS memories for making an ancient god's star compass. The ancient god clan members normally didn't need something like the star compass because they could fly through space with their bodies. Only a few special places or low-level ancient gods would need such an item. However, the star compass of the ancient gods is a bit different from the ones from the Cultivation Alliance. It requires some special materials and special methods to refine. However, once completed, it is several times faster and more powerful than the existing star compasses. Wang Lin plainly said, "That is correct. That is what I am looking for. Is there any store that sells it?" Seeing that the young man knew about the Void Wood Stone, the 10 high-quality spirit stones were not wasted. Li Danan revealed a difficult expression. He hesitated a bit and said, "Senior, I have only heard this from others. There is someone selling it at the free market, but the price is really high. Aside from making flying objects a bit faster, this item has no other use, so no one has bought it at all. Later, the seller left it at a stall of a friend. If Senior wants it, I can lead the way. However, it is very expensive. If Senior needs materials, it'd be better to get something else." Wang Lin calmly said, "I have my uses for it. Lead the way." Li Danan didn't say more and led Wang Lin directly to the west side's free market. The free market on the west side was very large and was filled with the sounds of haggling. Li Danan was definitely someone who was born here. He led Wang Lin to the stall very quickly. The ground was covered in stalls set up by cultivators. There were magical treasures, magical instruments, pills, spells, and anything else you could want. There were even some that were selling ancient treasures with strange shapes. These attracted the attention of a lot of cultivators. As they walked, Li Danan explained to Wang Lin the rules of the free market. Li Danan was no longer as nervous, so he even made some jokes as he quickly explained how the free market worked to Wang Lin. "Senior, look at that bald cultivator. He comes here every few years and sells some rare things every time. Senior, that person wearing the black and white Taoist robe hasn't been here for long, but everything he sells is fake and he has cheated quite a few people. A few days ago I saw a person hunting him, so I didn't expect to see him here again. The person who hunted him either failed or died." Wang Lin looked at each person that Li Danan pointed out. After a short while they arrived at a large stall. Li Danan clasped his hands and said, "Senior, Zhang, do you still remember me?" The owner of the stall was a red-faced man. He looked at Li Danan and smiled. "Little brat, which treasure of mine has caught your attention?" As the old man spoke, his gaze casually swept toward Wang Lin, but then his eyes immediately froze and his pupils shrank. With his cultivation, he was able to tell at a glance that Wang Lin was not simple. He immediately became respectful and said, "Senior Junior is Zhang Hualin. I wonder what Senior is looking for." Wang Lin looked at the red-faced old man and said, "Void wood stone." The red-faced old man was startled and said, "This item's price is not low and Junior is selling it for someone else. That person said that it cannot be traded. It can only be sold for 5 top-quality spirit stones." Li Danan bitterly smiled and said, "5 top-quality spirit stones, it is a heavenly price. Aside from rank cultivation countries, top-quality spirit stones are too rare, and there are better materials that don't cost this much in rank cultivation countries." The red-faced old man sighed. "This price is really too high, but this friend of mine is too stubborn. Senior, what do you think?" Wang Lin pondered a bit and said, "Let me see it." The red-faced old man hesitated a bit and then slapped his bag of holding. A blue stone the size of his palm appeared in his hand. There were branch-like veins on the stone as if there was a plant growing inside. There was a thin layer of light that surrounded the stone. This was a spell that one must learn in order to do business here. This spell was called the Trap Seal. It would prevent people from taking things by force. Unless the buyer was one whole level above the seller, it would take 10 breaths of time to break it. These 10 breaths of time were critical because it would allow the seller to put the item away. Wang Lin waved his hand. The stone immediately flew out of the old man's hand and into Wang Lin's. The light seemed to have no effect at all and broke after the void wood stone left the old man's hand. The old man's expression changed, and he sucked in a breath of cold air. He thought that he had overestimated this young man's cultivation, but it seemed he had actually underestimated it. This young man had to at least be at the soul transformation stage. Wang Lin examined the void wood stone. After confirming it was the right item, he waved his hand and put it away inside his bag of holding. Senior, the red-faced old man's expression was ugly. But before he could finish speaking, 5 milky white spirit stones appeared before him. The red-faced old man was able to tell at a glance that the 5 milky white spirit stones were top-quality spirit stones. He quickly put them away and carefully looked around. After seeing that not many people had noticed them, he let out a breath of relief. When he looked toward Wang Lin again, he only saw Wang Lin's back in the crowd. The red-faced old man pondered a bit. After staying for half a day more, he quickly left the city. He knew that with 5 top-quality spirit stones, those mid-stage soul formation cultivators would come and hunt him. He never thought that he would one day sell that void wood stone. As for Wang Lin, after he left the stall, he casually looked behind him. When he bought the void wood stone, he noticed 3 gazes lock onto him like lightning. Wang Lin plainly said, "Li Danan." Li Danan quickly walked up and respectfully said, "Senior Junior is here." He was even more respectful than before. The scene of Wang Lin taking the void wood stone shook his heart. Wang Lin asked, "If important treasures are traded here, there will naturally be other cultivators snooping around, so why are there still so many cultivators trading here?" Li Danan quickly answered, "Senior doesn't know, but most people who come to deal in these stalls don't come alone, so they would naturally not be afraid of people spying on them. As for those who are worried about it, they can leave it at a trustworthy stall to sell, and then come back later when it is sold. This prevents some unnecessary trouble. One can even pay to hire guards from the city's lord. However, since a long time ago, trading has always been very risky, so everything depends on fate." Wang Lin smiled. He felt unfamiliar being here, but wasn't it always like this? Back in the Sea of Devils, he was hunted down because of the pill furnace. Wang Lin looked into the sky and asked, "Is there any snow ink here?" Snow ink. Li Danan thought for a long time but couldn't think of anything. He bitterly smiled and said, "Senior, Junior, doesn't he know what that is?" After he finished speaking, Li Danan's eyes suddenly lit up and he said, "Senior, although I don't know what it is, the Shang Clan's shop collects countless materials. Maybe they have what you need." Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and calmly said, "Oh, tell me about it." Li Danan immediately said, "The Shang Clan's shop is the largest shop in Mingmei City. It is ranked number 1. It is rumored to be supported by a rank cultivation planet, and they have a branch on multiple trade planets. Anyone who buys from there is protected by the shop until they are 50,000 kilometers away from the planet. If requested, they will even protect you until you are back to your cultivation planet." After Wang Lin heard this, he nodded and said, "Lead the way." Li Danan was very excited. He had lived in Mingmei City for many years, but he had only gone to the northern part twice. He didn't go into the stores either time. Only powerful cultivators could go inside. Without enough money, one wouldn't be able to buy a single thing there. With Li Danan leading the way, the two of them quickly arrived at the northern part of the city. Before them were 9 palace-like shops that towered over everything. Leo steps out without his laptop charger. The computer has no power, so he reads the chapters using his phone, typing manually. Tears are flowing. Chapter 475, by way. Senior, the one in the back is the Shang Clan's shop. That is not a place someone can simply enter, so there will be people patrolling. Before Li Danan could finish speaking, waves of blue ripples appeared out of thin air and spread toward Wang Lin. "Incomers, stop!" A cold and arrogant voice came from the void. Wang Lin's expression remained calm as he raised his hand and casually waved it. A gust wind suddenly appeared, creating a sharp shrill as it rushed toward the blue ripples. "You!" The voice suddenly became higher, but as the gust of wind closed in, the blue ripples collapsed. The blue light quickly regathered itself 100 feet from Wang Lin into a young man in blue. He stared at Wang Lin with an ugly expression. Li Danan's eyes lit up. He had been in Mingmei City for a long time and came to the northern part twice before. Although there were people patrolling the northern city, something like this has never happened before someone even entered. Wang Lin's expression still remained calm. This young man's cultivation level wasn't low. Although he was not at the soul transformation stage like Wang Lin, he was half a step into it and was in the process absorbing celestial spiritual energy. This person had enough celestial spiritual energy to reach the soul transformation stage, but he decided to go with the second method of breaking through just like Wang Lin did. As a result, once he has enough celestial jades and breaks through, his progression through the soul transformation stage will be a lot easier. This young man looked at Wang Lin, coldly snorted, and said, "Scram!" A hint of coldness appeared in Wang Lin's eyes, and he took one step forward. After fusing with his original body and fighting with Situnan for a month, his combat experience had increased by a lot. Now he was simply too fast. In the blink of an eye, Wang Lin crossed 100 feet. With one punch, his fist created a large amount of force. There weren't any sonic booms, but countless cracks appeared in the air as if the space was collapsing. The young man's expression changed greatly. He didn't think an early-stage soul transformation cultivator could throw such a powerful punch. This kind of attack was something even a peak early-stage soul transformation cultivator would need to put all their effort into to negate, and if there was any mistake, they would be seriously injured. He wanted to retreat, but his body seemed to be restricted by an invisible force and he couldn't move an inch. He could only watch as the fist grew larger before him. A drop of cold sweat dripped down from the tip of his nose, but his eyes were still calm, without a hint of panic. He clearly knew Wang Lin's cultivation level, and yet he dared to act so arrogantly. This meant he either had an amazing cultivation method or amazing status. "Stop!" A faint sound came from the third shop, followed by a green light. Inside the green light was only a teacup, but it flew at an unimaginable speed and was filled with celestial spiritual energy. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. His left hand formed a seal and celestial spiritual energy gathered on the tip of his finger. He pointed at the cup and drew a circle as he said, "Star rotation." As Wang Lin's finger moved, the arc began to turn solid until it was a circle. Once the circle was complete, It shot toward the teacup. The speed of the teacup slowed down and its direction changed along with the rotation of the circle. In the end, it curved around Wang Lin. A sound of surprise came from inside the shop. Wang Lin's right fist moved as fast as lightning and landed on the space before the young man. The young man's face immediately turned red and he coughed out a mouthful of blood. His eyes dimmed as he stumbled back a few steps. Then his body trembled and he coughed out another mouthful of blood. His body trembled violently as white celestial spiritual energy came out from the pores of his body like crazy. In the blink of an eye, there was no celestial spiritual energy left in his body. You wasted my celestial foundation. The young man's face was no longer red, but as white as a dead man's. Wang Lin's punch didn't kill this person, but wasted all of his celestial foundation. This was basically knocking the young man from the edge of the soul transformation stage back to soul formation. Wang Lin withdrew his fist, put his hands behind his back, and calmly looked at the shop that threw the teacup at him. The spell star rotation was a spell Situ Nan taught him. If it was the him from back on Suzaku, he would have taken out one of his treasures already, but after training with Situ Nan for a month, he no longer needed to rely on his treasures. For a real powerful cultivator, magical treasures are only there to support them. What makes cultivators really scary are their spells. If the magical treasure is very powerful, like a mid-quality or higher celestial treasure, then those are exceptions. This was something Situ Nan once told Wang Lin. This brother has good techniques. May I know what your name is? A calm voice came from the shop, and after that a tall and straight figure followed it. This was a tall young man. He had sharp eyebrows and dark eyes. These eyes were like the stars, making it impossible for people to see through him. Just him standing there caused the space around him to ripple. He had clearly reached the peak of the mid-stage of soul transformation. This was the reason he was emitting celestial spiritual energy. Wang Lin turned his head and looked at this person. His expression remained calm as he slowly said, "Wang Lin!" "Wang Lin, I am Bai Wei." The young man waved his hand and a white fan appeared in his grasp. This gave him the appearance of a handsome prince. Not far away, the young man whose celestial foundation was wasted by Wang Lin had an extremely pale expression. He walked up to the shop while staring viciously at Wang Lin and maliciously said, "My lord, kill him!" Bai Wei frowned. He turned around and said, "You don't have the right to speak here. Leave." The young man was startled. He looked at Bai Wei and then at Wang Lin and revealed a strange expression. He let out a snort, but no longer spoke. Wang Lin's expression remained the same. Although this person's name was a bit feminine, Wang Lin was able to immediately tell that this person was male and not female. "Brother Wang, my servant was rude. I hope you didn't take offense. I am from planet Tianyun, and I belong to the Heavenly Fate sect. Where is Brother Wang from?" Bai Wei gently smiled as if all the unhappiness from before disappeared like smoke. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a mysterious light, and he said, "I am a wanderer. I don't have a sect." Bai Wei smiled and shook his head. "Since Brother Wang doesn't want to speak, then I won't force it. However, if Brother Wang has time in the future, you must come to planet Tianyun, so I can have the honor of being the host." Wang Lin nodded, clasped his hands and walked past the two. Li Danan's heart was beating rapidly as he quickly followed. He was afraid that if he is too slow and something unpredictable happened, he would get hurt. Bai Wei's eyes kept tracking Wang Lin's figure and revealed a strange light. He put away the fan as he slapped his right hand and said, "The mountains have trees and trees have branches. The heart pleases the Lord and the Lord doesn't know." The young man who had his celestial foundation wasted looked at Bai Wei. The strangeness in his eyes deepened. It wasn't until Wang Lin's figure disappeared into the last door that Bai Wei withdrew his gaze. He looked at his servant on the side and smiled. "It is only celestial foundation. Once this lord returns to planet Tianyun, I'll just give it to you again." With that, he walked back into the third store. The thing he was looking for wasn't rare, but after checking all 9 stores, he only found it in the third store. Normally, wherever Bai Wei was present, no others were allowed to be there. This kind of arrogance rubbed off on his servant, and that was why his servant prevented Wang Lin from entering the northern city. Wang Lin walked into the Shang clan's shop. This place seemed like a grand and luxurious palace no matter where one looked. There were a total of 999 statues carved from spirit stone all around. Thick spiritual energy rushed over to them. Li Danan was completely shocked when he felt it. He had never seen anything like this in his life, especially the dense spiritual energy. It was denser here than in any place he had ever been. After hesitating for a bit, Li Danan no longer cared about Wang Lin but sat down and began to cultivate. Wang Lin examined the spirit stone carvings before him. All of them were carvings of women and all of them were different, but the one thing they had in common was that they were all extremely beautiful. Inside the hands of each of those spirit stone carvings was a box. Inside the boxes were magical treasure, pills, and anything else you could think of. At this moment, a crisp laughter came from the void. Shortly after, a voluptuous and beautiful woman came down from the stairs. Her eyes looked toward Wang Lin. This woman was wearing a snow-white dress with 9 mandara flowers embroidered on the edges with silver threads. The contrast with the snow-white dress made it very eye-catching. Her silk-like black hair casually flowed behind her head. 3 light purple crystal hairpins held her hair up, leaving only 2 strands of purple hair to gently sway in the breeze. There were 3 thin, pinky-sized pieces of faintly purple accessories that were as thin as cicada wings under her left eye. The light reflecting off them made her as beautiful as a painting. Fellow cultivator, welcome to the Shang Clan S store. The woman S voice was like the chirping of a songbird. This woman S beauty was absolute, but what caught Wang Lin S attention was the thin accessory under her left eye. With his insight, he naturally was able to see that the thin accessory was a magical treasure. Even the 9 mandara flowers were extremely rare magical treasures as well. Even the 3 hairpins on her head were magical treasures. Her body was filled with magical treasures. It did indeed show just how rich this place was. Wang Lin didn't waste any time and calmly asked, "Does this store have snow ink?" Leo's speech is often puzzling. What with all the wishing for likes on the video and sharing Leo's work, leading the audience to erupt in laughter, the comments section filled with a lively atmosphere. Chapter 476, Solo Journey. After leaving the shop, Wang Lin gave Li Danan 10 high-quality spirit stones and left Mingmei City. The Shang Clan shop did indeed have snow ink, but the price was simply outrageous. Wang Lin calculated that with all the spirit stones that he had, he could only get 2 or 3 drops. This kind of price was beyond Wang Lin's expectations. He didn't think that snow ink was a top-quality material in the cultivation world. The ancient gods could travel from one planet to another to search for snow ink, making it very simple. But for cultivators, snow ink was simply too scarce. From what he heard from the woman, snow ink was very good for nourishing one's soul. If one had a few drops while possessing a body, then the speed of possession would increase several-fold. If one were to have some in their mouth when their origin soul leaves their body, then it could prevent one's origin soul from being destroyed even when seriously injured. One would be able to at least return to one's body. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, then he found a cliff outside of Mingmei City, and sat down in the lotus position. His divine sense spread out and slowly called for Situnan. Shortly after, Situnan responded. Wang Lin sent out a message. Mingmei City, the Shang Clan S shop. "I want the snow ink." Situnan began to laugh and then cut off the connection. There was a total of 9 cities on this trade planet. In 3 days of time, heaven-shaking news spread out. The Heaven and Earth city was robbed. This person had very good insight and took all the top-quality treasures. Most of them were the shop's main treasures. Even the shops with backgrounds were robbed. Even the city lordess mansion was robbed. It would be fine if it was only one city, but in the next 3 days, all 9 cities, including Mingmei City, were robbed by this mysterious person. This person's cultivation was extremely powerful. Even when attacked by multiple cultivators, he had no problem. Finally, in the end, 5 ascendant cultivators from the 9 cities got together to kill this mysterious person. This fight shocked everyone. However, all 5 ascendant cultivators were forced to retreat, and the mysterious person calmly left. This kind of power was only obtainable in the legendary illusory yin, corporeal yang, and nirvana scryer stages. As a result, he moved like a swarm of locusts. No one dared to mess with him or obstruct him. Wang Lin sat on the cliff for 3 days, looking at Mingmei City. On the night of the 3rd day, Wang Lin revealed a faint smile as he took out the straw hat and put it on his head. In the distance, a figure flew over like lightning, and behind him countless cultivators that seemed to cover the sky chased closely after. Among the people chasing, There were 8 people who were extremely quick. They pulled ahead of everyone else and continued to chase. Situ Nan arrogantly laughed. "Haha, you little brats, why are you chasing this old man? I'm not a woman. Annoy me, and I'll go steal from all of you again." At the moment Situ Nan passed the cliff Wang Lin was on, Situ Nan reached out. A powerful force grabbed Wang Lin, and Wang Lin moved like a meteor next to Situ Nan. Situ Nan touched his bag of holding and laughed. This old man's harvest was good. Let us go. With that, he quickly flew off with Wang Lin. "Stay, you mad thief!" Waves of angry roars came from behind Situ Nan. "Unless this old man's brain was damaged, why would I obediently stay like you all want me to? However, this old man will try to learn from you all once, so don't chase, you little brats." Situ Nan laughed out loud as he moved like lightning with Wang Lin. They broke through the atmosphere and turned into 2 rays of light in the darkness of space. The shops on this trade planet have very deep backgrounds. If they send some experts over, it will be hard even for this old man to deal with them. I stole from them quickly so that they don't have time to call for help. Yi Wu, you and I did this kind of thing a lot in the past. Situ Nan felt very proud. After they entered space, Wang Lin took out the star compass and the 2 of them quickly left. The cultivators of the trade planet chased for a while and then gave up. After all, not many people had a star compass, and Situ Nan's cultivation was simply too powerful. Even if they barely managed to catch up, they would only be throwing away their lives. "Did you get my snow ink?" Wang Lin licked his lips. Although he didn't join, the snow ink was something he asked for, so he was also associated with this. Situ Nan laughed and took out a small bottle. He threw it at Wang Lin and said, "For you." There were about 2 or 3 drops in there. After throwing the bottle, Situ Nan began to check his spoils of war. As he checked them, he revealed a proud smile. "Ha, not bad. The harvest this time is several times better than before." When Wang Lin took the bag and scanned it with his divine sense, his eyes lit up. Wang Lin secretly decided something in his heart. This kind of stealing isn't bad. If I have the opportunity in the future, I must steal like this as well. Outer space wasn't completely dark. Sometimes there were many colorful lights and objects out in the nothingness. The beauty of it would cause most people's hearts to tremble with just one look. Half a month later, a massive nebula that looked like a jellyfish appeared before Wang Lin. Situ Nan looked at the nebula and sighed. "I have to leave now." Wang Lin pondered a bit, then he silently looked at the brilliant nebula and asked, "Do you have enough magical treasures?" Situ Nan laughed and said, "Still not enough, but I am going to kill my way there and steal along the way. When I get there, I'll have enough." With that, he pointed at the nebula and said, "I have been here before with Yi Wu. It is time for us to split. Where I am going is very far from planet Tianyun. We will split up and go our own ways." As Situ Nan spoke, he slapped his bag of holding and a white light flew out of it. The light turned into a large sword. Situ Nan jumped on the sword, turned around and said, "Wang Lin, planet Tianyun is filled with strangers and you don't know the place, so be careful. However, you can forget your pride as a cultivator of planet Suzaku. If you have any problems, come find me on planet Fengluan. With this old man around, no one will dare to mess with you." Wang Lin looked at the nebula. He still hadn't looked at Situ Nan as he said, "If you have any problems, come and find me on planet Tianyun. With me there, no one will dare to touch you." Situ Nan laughed and said, "Good. Wang Lin, if I ever have trouble in the future, I'll come and find you. However, if your place is too small, I'm not coming over. No matter what, you must create a sect on planet Tianyun, and I'll come and be the head elder for you." With that, Situ Nan took a deep breath and took another look at Wang Lin. For the first time, he talked to Wang Lin in a soft voice and said, "Wang Lin, take care." With that, the sword under him lit up and he disappeared, leaving only a trail of light. "Situ, take care." Wang Lin turned his head toward where Situ Nan disappeared. In the vast space, only he remained, silently watching. After a long time, Wang Lin let out a sigh and felt melancholy. Ever since he stepped into the cultivation world, Situ Nan had been with him, and he owed Situ Nan a lot. Although Situ Nan was sleeping for a long period of time, Wang Lin could clearly feel Situ Nan's existence through the heaven-defying bead. In his eyes, Situ Nan was no different than a teacher. This time, It was a true goodbye between them. The melancholy in his heart was very strong. I wonder if we'll meet again in our lifetime. Wang Lin silently stood there for a long time. He then knelt down on the star compass and kowtowed 3 times toward where Situ Nan went. I, Wang Lin, have never in my life bowed to the heavens or earth, and I don't pay my respects to ghosts or gods. I only bowed to my parents, and to show respect to Situ. Wang Lin looked up, suppressed the melancholy in his heart, and the star compass flew off into the distance. His direction was the opposite of Situ Nan's, and they moved farther and farther apart. After Wang Lin left, a white light appeared where the two of them were. Situ Nan's figure appeared. He looked at Wang Lin and let out a sigh. Without cruel trials, one can be considered a real cultivator. Wang Lin, the reason I took you down the demonic path is because the demonic path is the best one for staying alive. After you created an avatar, you walked out of the demonic path and created your own path. I can no longer be around you because this old man is a demon inside and out. Situ Nan took a deep glance at where Wang Lin went and muttered, "Little friend, farewell." He let out a long sigh and disappeared in a flash of white light. Space was very large, so if one didn't have a star map, they would be lost and possibly lost for life. The All-Seer left a very detailed star map for Wang Lin that marked how to get from planet Suzaku to planet Chanyun. Wang Lin sat in the lotus position on the star compass and quickly traveled to planet Xianyun. During this time, Wang Lin wasn't idle. He spent the time using the void wood stone and snow ink to refine the star compass once more with the ancient god's secret technique. The process wasn't fast. It went on for the whole trip. The star compass was now covered by a green light. Inside the green light, one could see countless branches moving and warping around the star compass. This was the mysterious substance refined from the void wood stone. This process lasted 3 months. 3 months of time was only enough for the fusion between the void wood stone and the star compass to reach small completion. Ancient gods didn't care about time, so when they refined a treasure, the process usually lasted at least 100 years. A 9-star ancient god would take 1,000 years to refine a treasure. These 1,000 years would pass as quickly as a flick of one's finger. Wang Lin calculated and found that at this rate, it wouldn't be done even by the time he arrived on planet Tianyun. After pondering a bit, he decided to give up farther integration and use the snow ink to begin the final refining process at this small completion stage. Several more months passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, Leo holds a stuffed bear close to his chest, muttering prayers for likes on the video, sprinkling followers in his shares, as the children beside him start to crave. Chapter 477, arriving at Tianyun. On this day, a ray of silver light flew across the void. The ray of silver light looked like a dragon moving through space without any obstruction. There was a person standing on this ray of silver light. This person had a head of long hair flowing behind him, a pair of proud eyes, his facial features were sharp, and his clothes were flapping loudly as if there was a powerful wind blowing on him. This person's skin was dark and gave people a sense of spirit. It was filled with deep vitality. He was Wang Lin. The journey toward planet has been going for Tianyun over half a year. During this half a year, Wang Lin changed a lot. His skin was no longer as white as it was back on planet Suzaku, but a bit darker. This was due to a mysterious force among the stars. As for the silver dragon, it was the star compass after it was refined. With ancient god Tusi's memories, he used a special technique along with the void wood stone to change its structure and complete the fusion with the snow ink. All of this caused a mysterious change. As for the silver dragon shape, it was an ancient creature called Chuayu Hei from the ancient god's memories. This creature's speed was very quick, so the compass used its shape to gain some of its speed. Although it couldn't compare to the real creature, the compass reached an unimaginable speed. According to ancient god Tusi's memories, the real star compass would need the blood of a Chuayu as an activator to pull out the full potential of the star compass. At this moment, the silver dragon under Wang Lin wasn't any slower than an ascendant cultivator. The silver light shined in space as it disappeared into the distance. Time flew by, and another half-year passed. Wang Lin has been traveling through space by himself for over a year. During this year, Wang Lin saw a lot. At the start, he paid close attention to everything, but now he simply glanced at things when he passed by them. He was getting closer and closer to planet Tianyun. Wang Lin calculated the distance based on the map in his head. Right now he was halfway there. Along the way, Wang Lin saw countless planets. Some of the planets had cultivators, some were abandoned, and some were filled with powerful and vicious auras. Aside from these, Wang Lin saw plain robbery. There was a group of people that was rejected by all cultivators. They were called fringe cultivators. These cultivators spent most of their time in space, and none of them were weak. They would steal from any cultivators they came across. Along the way, Wang Lin met a few, but these people were all very experienced in detecting cultivation levels, so none of them dared to come and stop Wang Lin. But there was one unskilled fringe cultivator that was also at the early stage of soul transformation who attacked Wang Lin. He escaped far away after being heavily injured by Wang Lin. The weak couldn't survive in space, so Wang Lin no longer hid his aura. He released it all its full power, especially the killing intent from his original body. This killing intent formed a large aura and moved like a gust of cold wind, causing people's hearts to tremble. As a result, when fringe cultivators saw Wang Lin, they would move far away and not casually mess with him. Just like that, Wang Lin continued to fly. He was like a primordial beast descending from the heavens. Time slowly passed, and in the blink of an eye, another year passed. On this day, Wang Lin stood on the silver dragon. Before him was a star system surrounded by a green light. There was a giant, dark purple planet in the system. There were many lights coming from the planet, making it look like a giant crystal. It was very beautiful. Around this large planet were 5 smaller planets that orbited the main planet. Outside of that were some smaller planets scattered around. They all emitted waves of spiritual energy fluctuations. It was obvious that there were restrictions placed on them. Excitement filled Wang Lin's heart as his gaze locked onto the purple planet. This was the location the ulcer left him, planet Tianyun. At this moment, in Wang Lin's eyes, planet Tianyun was too large. In comparison, planet Suzaku was simply too small. And at this moment, even here he could feel the dense spiritual energy coming from the planet. If he were to step on the planet, the density of the spiritual energy would be unimaginable. Planet Suzaku was far from being able to compare to planet Tianyun. They also said back then that planet Suzaku was a half-wasted planet. Looking at planet Tianyun now, Wang Lin believed it without any doubt. After seeing planet Tianyun, Wang Lin's heart shook violently as if there was a big wave surging inside him. It was like the first time he went to a city before he started cultivating. A deep passion appeared in his heart as he silently looked at planet Tianyun in the distance. Planet Tianyun, Wang Lin, am coming, he muttered to himself. Wang Lin took a deep breath but didn't walk forward. He actually took a step back. His entire body along with the silver dragon suddenly backed away. 3 days later, he arrived near a small deserted planet. Wang Lin's body shook and his original body came out. The original body flew away as soon as it came out. It burrowed deep into the core of the deserted planet and began to cultivate. There were many powerful cultivators on planet Tianyun, and some might realize that his original body is an ancient god. Just in case, Wang Lin left his original body here and then flew toward planet Tianyun. Planet Tianyun was surrounded by a layer of green gas. It wasn't dense, but it covered the whole planet. From a distance, the planet looked like it was covered by a thin green curtain. Inside the green fog were also spots that sparkled like the stars. From the large purple planet at the center, abundant amount of spiritual energy surged into the green gas, causing it to churn and reveal strange scenes. Wang Lin stopped outside of the green gas. When he looked at the gas, he felt a sense of danger. This green gas contains a destructive force. If I recklessly charge in, I will constantly be attacked by it. I wonder what rank this planet is to have such a powerful formation. And the 5 smaller planets around it all have their own formations as well, not to mention the even smaller planets farther away. As Wang Lin pondered, his eyes suddenly lit up. Then he backed away 1,000 feet and looked at the green gas with a serious expression. The green gas moved as if there was a pair of giant hands moving it. The gas was split apart by this force. At the same time, a young man wearing a black gown came out. His looks were average, and his eyes were calm as he looked at Wang Lin and asked, "Do you have a diplomatic message?" Although his speech was calm, his eyes were calm, and his entire person exuded a modest feeling. The combination of all of this gave people a sense of arrogance even stronger than those that displayed it outright. His arrogance no longer needed to be displayed because it had been engraved into his bones. Wang Lin looked at the person and shook his head. I don't have one. The young man's expression remained the same as he calmly asked, do you have an invitation? Wang Lin pondered a bit and then shook his head again. The young man looked at Wang Lin and slowly said, since you don't have a diplomatic message nor an invitation, please leave. With that, he turned around and walked back into the green gas. As he entered, the green gas slowly closed. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he slowly said, I am looking for Senior Alzer. The young man stopped. Then he turned around and looked at Wang Lin. His gaze became strange and after a short while he asked, you came from planet Suzaku? Wang Lin was startled. He looked at the young man and nodded. The young man revealed a strange smile. Then he waved his hand and the surrounding green gas began to churn violently. It formed dragon-like tentacles that intertwined with each other and charged toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes were calm. He put away the star compass and took a step forward. The dragon-like tentacles fused together as they approached Wang Lin to form a green flying sword. Wang Lin then stepped onto the sword hilt. Many thanks. Wang Lin's expression remained the same and he clasped his hands. The mysterious light in young man's eyes became even stronger. He looked at Wang Lin and then at the sword hilt before bowing and saying, go inside. Senior Alzer has waited a long time for you. After this person finished speaking, the green gas split apart, forming a deep tunnel leading to the planet. Wang Lin's body didn't move, but the green sword under him moved and flew him toward planet Qianyun. As he flew, Wang Lin began to ponder. This person knew that I came from planet Suzaku and said that Senior Alzer has been waiting for me. Could this Senior Alzer really have a spell that lets him see through the heavens and earth and calculate that I'll come if that is the case? Senior's spell is heavenly. As Wang Lin pondered, the flying sword under him quickly flew toward planet Tianyun. Shortly after, planet Tianyun became larger and soon, the flying sword flew him into the planet. The wind pressure from the atmosphere blew at his face like sharp knives, but the sword under him emitted a gentle glow that kept the pressure down to a certain degree. Wang Lin was surrounded by a green light as he was brought through the atmosphere in an instant and entered planet Tianyun. From the air, Wang Lin saw that most of the planet's surface was covered by purple plants. These plants' leaves were moved by the wind and created waves of rustling sounds. A feeling of unfamiliarity appeared in his heart. He let out a sigh and quickly flew off into the distance. The sword created by the green gas was not under Wang Lin's control. It was flying on its own to bring Wang Lin to the Heavenly Fate sect. Their entry point wasn't too far from the sect, so after only 3 incense sticks of time, the Heavenly Fate sect appeared before Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Then he jumped off the green sword and landed on the ground. The green sword disappeared in the blink of an eye. Leo's birthday has passed. Thank you all for your blessings, your praise. Leo will continue to strive, producing increasingly captivating chapters. Brothers, keep your sharp tongues sheathed, stored away carefully. Chapter 47, Exchange. 1. Wang Lin bitterly smiled and said, soul transformation is simply too far away for Junior. Bullshit. With me, who is from a rank country, helping you, what is the soul transformation stage at all? Although I can go out, I have been using my nascent soul essence to help you cultivate for these past 30 years otherwise, with your lack of talent. How could you have reached this stage in 30 years? And because you absorbed my nascent soul essence, besides people on the same cultivation level as me, no one else can see through your cultivation. Also, with the heaven-defying bead in your hands, what do you have to be afraid of? It took me painstaking effort to obtain this bead when it appeared in the Cultivation Alliance, resulting in me losing my body. My soul would be destroyed if I hadn't escaped into this bead. Originally, I wanted to find another body to use, but this damned heaven-defying bead, it seems that if someone without a body enters it, they can leave. I won't lie to you. When I first saw you, I wanted to take over your body, but this heaven-defying bead is like a cage that prevents me from leaving. I studied this bead for many years. This bead must have an owner before many of its effects can be used and I can be released. When I obtained this bead, I was being hunted, but I had some time to study it. It must absorb the essence of the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth before it would identify an owner. But even so, the owner has to have reached the soul transformation before they can get me out of here. Ah, little kid, show some compassion and cultivate faster. Then help me find a good body to use. I, Situ Nan, will remember your kindness, and with my protection, you can live a safe and comfortable life. At the end, Situ Nan's tone wasn't as aggressive as before, but filled with regret. Wang Lin pondered a little. Right when he was about to speak, Situ Nan's voice came again. Brat, someone came. I'll help you leave. Suddenly, the tearing feeling appeared. Wang Lin's body shook and he opened his eyes. He sent out his divine sense and found 2 disciples, one male and one female, quietly walking toward Wang Lin's direction. About 30 meters away from Wang Lin, the 2 stopped and started to kiss and flirt with each other. Soon they both took off all their clothes and their moans echoed in the surroundings. Wang Lin was very familiar with these 2 disciples. Both of them were at the back mountain. He curiously looked at them for a while, especially at the female disciple, before he reluctantly left. Back at home, Wang Lin thought about what Situ Nan had said. Wang Lin didn't fully believe his words, but he had really learned a lot about how the cultivation world worked. Wang Lin didn't believe he would lie about those things. 3 days later, the exchange between the Heng Yue sect and Xuan Dao sect officially began. This was a long-standing tradition between the 2 sects, so there wasn't too much fanfare. The location was set on the Pine Mountain peak of the Heng Yue sect. An arched stone bridge connected the 2 peaks of the mountain. Wang Lin had seen the peak of Pine Peak Mountain from a distance, but could never get a clear look because of the clouds. Pine Peak Mountain was one of the important locations of the Heng Yue sect. It had high spiritual energy density, like the back mountain, and was where the 2 core formation elders went to cultivate. On top of the Pine Peak was a large stone platform prepared for this exchange. It was surrounded by 8 large pillars of white jade with the Heng Yue sect's 500 years of history carved onto them. After arriving here, a majestic air radiated from the white jade pillars and immediately transformed into killing intent that pierced the bones. Friend Huang Long, every time I see these white jade pillars, it feels different. No wonder this is a treasure of the cultivation country of Zhao. Old man Ouyang sighed and waved his hand to destroy the killing intent. Behind him, all of the Xuan Dao sect disciples were shocked. In that moment, the killing intent made them feel as if they had entered a battlefield. They felt almost crushed by this feeling, until Elder Ouyang dispersed it. Fellow cultivator Ouyang, this is a treasure our founder personally made. Within 100 meters of the white pillars, any non-Heng Yue sect disciple will be pressured by a killing intent. I believe Elder Ouyang understands, so please excuse us. Wang Long's face remained calm. His hand formed a seal and a gentle light shot out from the white jade pillars. Like large hands, the lights moved the clouds that covered the peak away. The killing intent also disappeared. Before him, all the inner disciples cracked their knuckles. Elder Ouyang turned and talked with the other 2 elders before saying, "No worries. According to the old rules, we will send the first person. Lu Feng, you can go." Lu Feng was the male with the pure water spirit roots. He smiled, then took a deep breath and arrived on the stage like lightning. He said in a clear voice, "Xuan Dao sect as Lu Feng asks the Heng Yue sect for pointers." Wang Lin stood behind Sun Dazhu with the flying sword on his back, wearing his red disciple clothes. He looked quite majestic. Sun Dazhu was very satisfied with his disciple's appearance. Ever since Wang Lin had reached the R&D layer, whenever he looked at Wang Lin, he was no longer as annoyed as before. Although he was far from liking Wang Lin, he was at least starting to see Wang Lin as his disciple. Of course, all of this depended on whether or not Wang Lin could manage to get past the 3rd layer. If after 8 to 10 years Wang Lin was still stuck at the R&D layer, then Sun Dazhu would probably hate Wang Lin again. In these 3 days, Wang Lin almost never left home. He spent most of that time in the dream space, talking with Situ Nan. After a number of conversions, he came to some understanding about Situ Nan. Situ Nan was the rank 6 country of Suzaku's #1 expert. His cultivation was at an unimaginable level. He would kill anyone that annoyed him, steal anything he wanted, and was extremely arrogant. Because of the appearance of Liu Feng, the scene became very quiet. The sect head, Wang Long, looked at Liu Feng and said, "Zhao Long, you go." Zhao Long was a very silent disciple. He was one of the disciples that had reached the 6th layer after the intense training. The Heng Yue sect sent out a TH layer disciple in the first round. This was a rare occurrence in the exchanges. Elder Ouyang didn't mind and said, "Liu Feng, For this fight, I'll allow you to use 50% of your power. The moment he said those words, the people of the Heng Yue sect's expressions all changed. Leo truly didn't realize today was May 20th. Leo's already married, not caring about this day at all. Truly no intention. Truly no intention. I'm already married. Yes, just like that. CHIRP, CHIRP, CHIRP. Chapter 478, Seeking Tao. The Heavenly Fates sect was on the eastern side of planet Tianyun. It was covered by mist. Mist and clouds densely filled the area. Looking from a distance, it was as if the sect was covered by layers of mist, making it impossible to see what was inside. A huge temple was floating in the middle, emitting a gentle golden light. Under the temple were floating stones that formed steps that led to the mountains below. This was where the outer sect of the Heavenly Fate sect was located. At this moment, rays of sword light were flying back and forth through the Heavenly Fate sect. The sect was very lively. Wang Lin was standing outside the mountain and looked at the giant temple. He took a deep breath and took a step forward. He then turned into a ray of white light and rushed forward. It didn't take long before Wang Lin arrived at a large mountain. Just as he was about to cross the mountain, his expression changed, and he stopped and looked into the distance. "Incomer, stop!" A faint voice came from the distance. This voice was very plain without any emotion. It was impossible to tell if it was male or female. Wang Lin's expression became respectful. He clasped his hands and said loudly, "Planet Suzaku's Wang Lin is here to greet Senior All-Seer." Wang Lin, the Honorable All-Seer already knows of your arrival. However, to enter the Heavenly Fate sect, even honorary disciples must go through 3 trials. Do you dare to accept them? Wang Lin's expression was very serious. He didn't immediately respond, but asked, "What are the 3 trials?" The first trial is the human trial. This trial tests your Tao heart. The second trial is the earth trial. This trial tests your cultivation. The third trial is the heaven trial. This trial tests your domain. Only by going through these 3 trials can you enter the Heavenly Fate sect. Do you dare? The voice was still plain without any anger. After the voice finished speaking, tens of thousands of rays of light gathered to form an oval-shaped ring before Wang Lin. Wang Lin faintly smiled and said, "Why would I not dare?" With that, he walked into the oval ring. In the Heavenly Fate sect, on top of a tall mountain was a bohi tree. The crown of this tree was very large. It was like an umbrella that could cover the sky. Anyone who looked at it would feel the urge to worship it. At this moment, there were 3 people under this tree. The person in front was an old man. He had a gentle expression, and his white hair flowed in the wind. However, he didn't give off a feeling of being old, and instead exuded an out-of-this-world feeling. His eyes were even brighter than some young men's at their prime. In particular, his 2 eyebrows were like 2 white dragons on his face that moved gently with the wind. His gaze looked into the distance and showed a hint of age. 2 people were standing respectfully behind him. Both of them looked to be around 30 years old. One of them was smiling and looked very friendly. The other one had a serious expression. His eyes are cold and he stood there emotionlessly. The smiling man looked at the gentle old man and said, "Teacher, this person is only an honorary disciple. Why make him go through the 3 trials?" The old man's eyes were like lightning, looking into the distance as he slowly said, "I accepted him as a disciple on a whim, planted the karam of teacher and disciple between us. In a mere 100 years, his cultivation has already reached this stage. He is not simple." The gentle-looking man faintly smiled and said, "To catch teacher's attention is his fortune. If he can pass the 3 trials, take him to the Purple Cloud Pavilion." The old man looked at the void again. Then he took a step forward and disappeared. The gentle-looking man and the cold-faced man both responded. They lowered their heads in respect until the old man left. The cold-faced man sneered and said, "Purple Cloud Pavilion, interesting. Junior apprentice brother Zhou, what is interesting about it?" The gentle-looking man turned to the man named Zhou. "Senior apprentice brother, are you trying to test junior brother? The Purple Cloud Pavilion is not some place an ordinary honorary disciple could stay in. The Purple Sky Palace and my Purple Dream Palace are places that only true disciples of our teacher can stay in. I am afraid that the Purple Cloud Pavilion will soon be named the Purple Wood Palace." The gentle-looking person smiled and said, "That Wang Lin is not simple, and teacher seems to have really been moved to accept another disciple. We are about to gain other apprentice brother. Isn't that a joyous occasion?" Senior apprentice brother, you don't have to say what your heart doesn't think. The man named Joe snorted and left. At this moment, only the gentle-looking man was left. His eyes were calm and contained a look as if he couldn't completely figure something out. He whispered to himself, "The Purple Cloud Pavilion teacher's choice is really interesting. Junior apprentice brother Sun Yun, it seems teacher has really lost all faith in you." As for Wang Lin, after he stepped into the oval ring of light, his vision blurred and he appeared in a vast white world. He couldn't see where this place ended. It was as if he was in space. Standing here caused a sense of loneliness to appear in his heart. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and that hint of loneliness in his heart disappeared. Interesting, this place could cause a change in my heart. Wang Lin spread out his divine sense like crazy in all directions. With his early-stage soul transformation divine sense, in a few moments everything within several tens of thousands of kilometers appeared in his mind. The first trial will test my Tao heart. Wang Lin pondered for a bit. Just at this moment, a blurry figure appeared before Wang Lin and began walking towards him step by step. Wang Lin looked over, but his body didn't move. The figure slowly got closer, revealing her beautiful face. She was Li Muwan. Li Muwan looked at Wang Lin and revealed a happy smile. She opened her mouth to say something, but Wang Lin wasn't able to hear a word. Shortly after, Li Muwan became anxious and walked a few steps closer. Wang Lin looked at Li Muwan and whispered, "Is this the first trial an illusion formed from my Tao heart? This is not hard at all." Wang Lin let out a sigh. Then he took one step and quickly moved next to Li Muwan. He grabbed hold of her waist and smiled. "Tao heart, Tao heart." Li Muwan revealed a faint smile and she disappeared along with Wang Lin. In the heavenly fate sect, under the bohi tree, the gentle-looking young man exclaimed and his eyes revealed a mysterious light. Unless teacher was wrong, this person has great wisdom. Ordinary people only do two things for the first trial. They either calm themselves to avoid it all or try to break through by force. This person is indeed interesting. He decided to seek Tao. Leo continues to read. Today is Monday, wishing for just a few more likes and followers for the VIDEO channel. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter Tao. Interesting. This person's method is the same as junior apprentice brother Sun Yun's. However, junior apprentice brother Sun Yun lasted 67 days. I wonder how long he will be able to last. The gentle-looking man rubbed his chin and revealed an impossible-to-see-through smile. His gaze was calm, but there was a hint of a mysterious light that flashed across his eyes. The three trials of the Heavenly Fate sect were created by the Alzer personally. He split open the void to create a special space for the three trials to take place. Only after passing the three trials can someone have the qualification of becoming a Heavenly Fate sect disciple. This was a rule set in stone, so no one could change this. At this moment, inside the human trial there was a veil covering an entire area. At the center of this area lied a paradise-like place. This place was filled with flowers, birds, and willow trees. There were a few barks from dogs as well, but instead of breaking the tranquility, they were more like barks for waking someone from their sleep. This paradise was a village. Although there weren't many villagers, they all respected each other and got along very well. The third house from the northern end of the village had its own courtyard. Although humble, if anyone took a look at it, they would think it was very comfortable. There were a few spikes of golden hairtail grass before the gate, showing that it was spring. There was a big pile of firewood inside the yard, and nearby there were a few wooden chairs with a wooden table in the middle. On top of the table sat a teapot and some teacups. At this moment, an old man filled with wrinkles was sitting on the chair and drinking tea. Although this person's hair was all white, he didn't look old at all. After drinking the tea, he raised his head and looked into the house. Inside the house, a young boy was holding a small knife and carving on a piece of red wood. The old man revealed a gentle smile. He was extremely tranquil as he looked at the boy. Shortly after, the boy's nose wrinkled. Then he looked up at the old man and immediately ran up to him. He asked, with a tender voice, "Who are you exactly?" The old man put down the teacup, rubbed the boy's head and smiled. "I am who you say I am." The boy was about to speak, But just at this moment a serious voice came from inside the house. "Who's Don't bug your grandfather. Go back to carving." Along with the voice, a middle-aged man opened the curtain and walked out from the house. The boy didn't turn around. He let out a sigh before giving a deep glance at the old man. He then returned to the house and began to carve once more. However, there was deep doubt in his eyes. The man watched the boy for a bit. Then he sat down next to the old man, poured the old man same tea and said, "Dad, I'm going to go into the mountain tomorrow." The old man was still looking gently at the boy. After hearing the middle-aged man, he nodded and didn't say anything. "What are you going into the mountain for?" The voice of a woman came from the entrance. An old woman with a head full of white hair holding a basket of vegetables walked in. The middle-aged man quickly got up, accepted the basket, and said, "Mother, I heard from New from the east side of the village that there might be a tiger in the mountains, so we are going together with a few people to see if it's there. If we are lucky, we can get a tiger skin to make a new coat for father." The old woman opened her mouth as if she wanted to say something, but she looked at the old man still staring at his grandson before letting out a sigh and shaking her head in silence. The days passed day by day, but the middle-aged man still hadn't returned after he left. The old woman waited eagerly day and night, but what finally returned was an incomplete corpse. She passed out from grief and never awakened again. Now only the grandfather and grandson were left in this house. The boy was still learning how to carve and the old man was still watching from the side. On this day, the old man softly asked, "Did you finish learning how to carve?" The boy raised his head, calmly looked at the old man, and said, "I still haven't Carving is too difficult. No matter what I do, I can seem to learn it." The old man pondered a bit. Then he let out a sigh and said, "How many times have you tried?" The boy raised his head, calmly looked at the old man and said, "This is the 83rd time. The next time is not far off." The old man sighed. Still not willing to end it? The boy looked up at the sky. Shortly after, he shook his head and said, "Why must it end? This kind of life is pretty good besides the fact that I don't know who you are. You repeated this cycle countless times, and every time the things that happen are said, there will be no change. You knew that everyone who left wouldn't come back because you have experienced all of this countless times. Can you still not see through it? What exactly are you doing?" The old man raised the teacup and placed it next to his mouth, but he didn't drink. The boy withdrew his gaze, looked at the wood carving in his hand, and after a long time he said, "Is it time to end?" "No, it's not." Inside the Heavenly Fate sect, under the Bodhi tree, the gentle-looking man's expression became very serious. He stared at the emptiness before him, and his eyes darkened. 83 days, this person is definitely not ordinary. Even junior apprentice brother Sun Yun only lasted 67 days. Although the 3 trials are a test, if one can gain enlightenment from them, then it is a heavenly opportunity. The 3 trials are things each person can only experience once in their lifetime, and Master spent a lot of effort to build them. This Wang Lin can last 83 days in the first trial. This person can stay. His face became even gloomier, and his expression was indecisive. Then his hands formed a seal and a rainbow-colored light appeared from his hands. "Future junior apprentice brother, let me help you." With that he pointed forward and the rainbow-colored light disappeared into the distance. Inside the human trial, the boy was still carving when he suddenly raised his head. In the sky, a ray of rainbow-colored light appeared, releasing rays of blinding light. This ray of light was very aggressive. Wherever it shined, the paradise melted away like a hot iron was placed in snow. The fragrance of flowers no longer covered the area. The houses of the village all disappeared, turning into white smoke that slowly dissipated. The houses disappeared one by one under the light's glow until only the 3rd house from the northern end of the village remained. The boy's gaze revealed a mysterious light. Then he stopped carving and suddenly waved the knife in his hand. A ray of silver light shot out into the rainbow-colored light in the sky. An earth-shattering sound came from the sky. Then the shockwave knocked away all the haze surrounding the area. The rainbow-colored light began to flicker like a candle blown by the wind. But soon, the rainbow-colored light began to glow mysteriously and fuse back together. The rainbow-colored light turned into a pair of eyes that seemed like it could see through anything, and its gaze landed on the boy. The boy's eyes became cold, then he waved his right hand, and all the pieces of wood in the yard flew into the air. The boy's hand quickly moved, sending out a massive amount of waves of silver light toward the wood shavings that had fallen to the ground. In an instant, carvings of the houses and villagers appeared. The boy shook his hand again, and all the carvings were lit up by a ghostly flame. The flame was small at first, but quickly grew and began to spread. The village, villagers, flowers, birds, and etc. all reappeared. This place once again returned to a paradise. I don't know who you are, but disappear now. Although the boy's voice was soft, it was filled with killing intent. The pair of eyes in the sky stared at the boy and shortly after disappeared. Under the Bodhi tree in the Heavenly Fate sect, the gentle-looking man's eyes lit up and he muttered to himself, "So that's how it is. This person's Tao is related to the reincarnation cycle. It's no wonder he was able to last 83 days. Every day he experiences one reincarnation cycle, and thus increases his comprehension of the reincarnation cycle." Inside the human trial, the old man let out a sigh, stood up, looked at the boy and softly said, "The 84th time is about to start. Do you still want to continue?" The boy lowered his head to look at the wood carving that he still hadn't managed to complete after 83 cycles. The carving was that of a woman. Let's continue. This is Tao seeking, and the true meaning behind the human trial. Deep inside the Heavenly Fate sect, the altar had his eyes closed and was cultivating at the center of a black altar deep within the Heavenly Fate sect. He suddenly opened his eyes, revealed a satisfied smile, and said, "This child is very good." 10 days later, inside the paradise in the human trial, a person walked out. This was the first time the boy had walked out of the courtyard. On the first step, he was still a boy. On the second step, he was a teenager. And on the third step, he turned into a young man. The young man's hair moved without any wind, and he wore a snow-white robe as he walked out of the paradise step by step. In his hand, he held a wood carving. In the end, the carving was completed. The carving was that of a woman, a gentle, beautiful, and fairy-like woman. Her mouth formed a smile as bright as the sun, and her eyes exuded a happy expression. This young man was Wang Lin. Without at least 100 cycles, how could one seek Tao? Without at least 1,000 years of cultivation, how would one seek Tao from the heavens? This human trial is interesting. Wang Lin's eyes were peaceful right now. This trial made him undergo a mysterious change. However, he hid that change very well, so it was very hard to notice. His eyes were even clearer than before, like the starry sky. Wang Lin disappeared from the void and walked out of the human trial. The Earth Trial Test Cultivation. Are you ready? Do you dare to enter? Why would I not dare? Wang Lin faintly smiled and raised his head. Leo has a nasal inflammation and a cold again. My nose is just like a running faucet. Frustrated. Chapter Purple Cloud Pavilion. The location of the Earth Trial was a red world. Pillars of flame were shooting out from the ground and into the sky. Wang Lin stood still as he looked around, his expression remaining calm. This place tests cultivation, but I don't know in what way. Wang Lin stepped forward as he pondered. Just at this moment, from a crack not far away, a pillar of flame shot into the air. The fire turned into a fiery red figure in the sky. This person had a head full of red hair that moved without any wind. It looked like many tentacles moving. He had his arms folded before his chest and two ghostly lights appeared on his chaotic face. A cold voice came from the mouth of the fiery figure. I am the Earth Trial's guardian. Defeat me and you may continue. Wang Lin calmly looked at the figure. Then without a word he charged forward. His hands formed a seal, and then he pushed his hand forward. A vast power suddenly appeared from within Wang Lin and gathered before him. Wang Lin softly said, "Break!" His body glowed golden, and the fiery figure's eyes suddenly lit up. The figure quickly backed up and moved his folded arms to block. With a bang, the sand was blown away, then cracks appeared on the earth and began to quickly spread across the ground. The fiery figure quickly backed away. Both of his hands were a bloody mess. After he stopped, he stared at Wang Lin with his fiery eyes. Wang Lin stopped and put his hand behind his back. He then looked at the figure and calmly said, "Stand down." The fiery figure pondered a bit and then bowed toward Wang Lin. He turned back into flame and disappeared into the ground. Wang Lin calmly looked into the distance. There would probably be more things like this that will test his cultivation. There must be someone in the Heavenly Fate sect spying on me from outside. Wang Lin let out a faint smile. Rather than keep going forward, he stepped back out. I give up the Earth Trial? With that, Wang Lin's figure disappeared from within the trial. At this moment, under the Bodhi tree, the gentle-looking man frowned and his eyes filled with uncertainty. This person sure was decisive in giving up, unfortunately. I wasn't able to use this opportunity to see the extent of his cultivation. However, no matter how powerful he is, an early-stage soul transformation cultivator is not much. In an instant, his eyes became clear, he no longer frowned, and the smile returned to his face. He didn't turn around but gently said, "Third junior apprentice brother, I haven't seen you in many days. Was your trip smooth?" With senior brother thinking of me, of course my trip was smooth. A feminine voice came from the distance. At the same time, a young man wearing white walked forward. After a few steps, he arrived under the Bodhi tree. This person was the young man Wang Lin met on the trade planet. "Bai Wei." The gentle-looking man turned around to look at Bai Wei and smiled. "Third junior apprentice brother, did you find the gift for Teacher S' birthday?" Bai Wei casually looked into the void in the distance and smiled. "The gift I prepared is only a small toy that can compare with what senior brother has prepared. What is this?" After he spoke, Bai Wei's eyes became serious as he stared at the void. His eyes revealed a mysterious light. The gentle-looking man's heart trembled for a moment and he said, "This person is an honorary disciple that Master picked up on planet Suzaku. He arrived few months ago and is going through the 3 trials right now. He is currently on the 3rd trial." "It's him." Bai Wei's eyes lit up as he said, "So that's why." The gentle-looking man pretended to casually say, "Master arranged for him to live in the Purple Cloud Pavilion." Purple Cloud Pavilion. The mysterious light in Bai Wei's eyes disappeared and was replaced with coldness. After pondering for a while, he slowly said, "Senior brother, I still have important things to do, so I want to stay. Give me one of your 3,000-year 5-leaf grasses and I'll give you a fire crystal for it. How about it?" The gentle-looking man laughed and said, "That's fine. Just go to my cave and have the boy bring it for you." Bai Wei clasped his hands. After taking a deep gaze at the void, he disappeared. The friendly-looking man rubbed his chin and revealed a tired look as he thought, why did Master arrange for this person to stay at the Purple Cloud Pavilion? If he was assigned elsewhere, he would have a smoother path. But now, he is thrown directly into the fire. The Heaven Trial tests 1's domain. At this moment inside the Heaven Trial, Wang Lin was sitting in the lotus position with his eyes closed. He was thinking. After giving up the Earth Trial, he entered here and began the trial here. He has been sitting here for 30 days now. In these 30 days of time, Wang Lin was constantly pondering the mysteries of the Heaven Trial. When he was here, he felt that his domain was closest to the heavens. When he was here, he felt like he could touch the heavens by just raising his hand. Time slowly passed. Wang Lin has already forgotten about the concept of time. He just sat there motionless, and the entire time he never brought out his domain. Wang Lin wasn't in a rush, so as he continued to sit there, he had a vague feeling that he had reached the boundary of something. Combining all the cycles and experiences he had been through, the word Tao slowly appeared inside his soul. This was the 51 stones day that Wang Lin been inside the Heaven Trial. On this day he opened his eyes and awakened from his cultivation. There was no light in his eyes, but there was a mysterious light flicking within him. He sat there thinking and then revealed a faint smile. The human, earth, and heaven trials are not tests, but opportunities. If you understand them, then you understand them. If you gain enlightenment, then you gain enlightenment. So that's how it is. Wang Lin stretched his hands and stood up looking around. He let out a smile and said, "I give up the Heaven Trial." After saying that, the world around him became blurry as if it was spinning. It spun rapidly with Wang Lin at the center, and then everything around him disappeared without a trace. Wang Lin was still standing where he was before. Right now there was a person wearing purple in front of him. There was a gentle smile on his face as he looked at Wang Lin. "Junior apprentice brother Wang Lin, I am Xianxia. Among Master S' first-generation disciples, I've been in the sect for the longest. You can call me eldest brother." Wang Lin looked at this person. Then he clasped his hands and said, "Wang Lin greets eldest brother." Xianxia faintly smiled. Then he gestured his hand and said, "Follow me, junior apprentice brother Wang Lin. Master has already arranged for you to live in the Purple Cloud Pavilion." With that, Xianxia led the way and Wang Lin followed. The two of them turned into 2 rays of light and went deep into the mountains. As they flew, Xianxia talked all the way, giving some detailed descriptions of the Heavenly Fate sect. This person was filled with humor and had a way with words. He was able to get the point across easily, and this allowed Wang Lin to have a simple understanding of the Heavenly Fate sect. Wang Lin asked, "Eldest brother Zhao, how many disciples does Senior All-Seer have?" Xianxia faintly smiled, then his right hand formed a seal and pointed before him. The clouds before them suddenly shattered, creating a passage. As he moved toward the passage, he laughed and said, "Junior apprentice brother, Master has accepted a total of 7 disciples. We are split into red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and purple. The 2 of us belong to the purple division." The purple division. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Xianxia let out a sigh and said, "Among the 7 divisions, our purple division is the weakest." Once you have been here for a while, you will naturally find out, so I won't say too much. After flying for a while through the mountains, a peak that went into the clouds appeared before them. There was a very luxurious tower on the mountain peak. This tower released a purple glow that lit up the surrounding area. The tower was like the source of all the purple in the world. Just looking at it would cause one's heart to tremble. Junior apprentice brother Wang Lin, follow me. Xianxia charged directly to the mountaintop, and Wang Lin closely followed. There were countless heavenly sect disciples cultivating on the top of the mountain and at the foot of the tower. Looking at them all, there were at least 10,000 people. At the back of the mountain were countless houses covering the entire mountain. There were disciples that were learning Tao, practicing techniques, or cultivating. With just one's glance, Wang Lin calculated that there were at least 100,000 disciples here. This mountain was simply too large, especially the back mountain, which seemed endless. It was like a giant dragon was lying there. If one wasn't carefully, he would easily lose himself in this enormous sect. Xianxia clasped his hands and faintly smiled. This place is the purple division of the Heavenly Fate sect. Junior apprentice brother Wang Lin, to the west 'tis where the purple cloud pavilion lies. If you spread out your divine sense, you will find it. I still have important things to do, so I want to accompany you. Wang Lin nodded, clasped his hands at Xianxia, and flew toward the west like lightning. Xianxia's face still revealed that gentle smile without any change, but a mysterious light flashed across his eyes. As Wang Lin flew, he let out a cold snort. The first moment Wang Lin saw Xianxia, he recognized him as the person who tried to interrupt him in the human trial. However, Wang Lin's ability to scheme was deep, so he kept up a good poker face. Shortly after, Wang Lin spread out his divine sense and found a palace giving off a faint purple aura. On the front of the palace were 3 large words, Purple Cloud Pavilion. This Heavenly Fate sect is simply too big. If just the purple division is already so large, I wonder how big the other 6 divisions are. The main sect must be even more unimaginable than this. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he landed before the Purple Cloud Pavilion. Just as he was about to take a step forward, he frowned and stared into the palace. He saw a person walk out from the Purple Cloud Pavilion. This person was a woman wearing a purple dress that was dotted by golden flowers. She had a cute and charming face, but right now it was filled with killing intent as she stared at Wang Lin. "You can enter here." These past few days, without wishing for likes on the VIDEO, the like button for the VIDEO has quickly fallen to 10th. Urgently wishing for you readers to flip through and see if there's a like button for the VIDEO left unpressed.